Chapter 3093. The reason why Su Yun had spent so much effort to make the girl say so many things that had aroused Blackbeard's suspicion was actually very simple. It was to intimidate Blackbeard's heart. Su Yun would only have a chance if Blackbeard himself began to doubt everything he had done, and if Blackbeard himself was thrown into disarray. Otherwise, dealing with a calm, scheming B*TCH was not easy at all. At the very least, if Blackbeard could calmly hide and hide, Su Yun would have a hard time catching her. Under such circumstances, Su Yun used the simplest method to make Blackbeard suspicious. At this time, there were already plain clothes waiting around the neighborhood. As long as the woman was a normal person, she wouldn't foolishly leave him at the entrance of the neighborhood. Su Yun simply walked in the direction of the neighborhood. He was sure that the other party would bypass the SWAT team, so walking in this direction was not wrong at all. After walking for a few hundred meters, Su Yun didn't find any place that could be considered a hiding place. There was a wreath and grave clothes shop that looked particularly eerie. During the day, people might hide when passing by, but no one would come near at night. There was a small intersection next to the grave clothes shop, and it seemed like he could park there. Su Yun quietly walked under the eaves opposite the grave clothes shop. The lights were dim, so no one would see him at all. Just like that, Su Yun sat for about 5 minutes before a taxi appeared and turned into the small intersection next to the grave clothes shop. Su Yun could clearly hear the driver's unhappy curses coming from the taxi. "Can you not let me stop at a place like this in the middle of the night? Bad luck. Here's the money. Keep the change and leave immediately. Take this small path and go back." The woman's voice was heard, and then the car door opened. Xiao Ying, who Su Yun had been waiting for, finally jumped out of the car. Su Yun breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that he hadn't made a wrong bet. Just now, he was just thinking about where he would choose to get out of the car in the middle of the night and sneak around if it were him. This was a very good place, so Su Yun stayed and waited. He didn't expect it to be worth it. After Xiao Ying got out of the car, she carefully walked out of the small intersection. She observed for a long time before walking out. In this gloomy night, little Ying is also very afraid. She walked very carefully, step by step, trying not to make a sound. She knew that the closer she was to the neighborhood and the closer she was to the convenience store, the more likely the police would be there. She wanted to let herself see them in the dark first. This was something that Blackbeard had always told her. She had to stay in the dark. Otherwise, she wouldn't be able to fight with the police. "Miss, it's so late at night. Are you afraid of walking alone at night?" Su Yun's voice suddenly came from behind Xiao Ying. Xiao Ying almost lost her soul. She turned her head and saw a figure. She screamed out loud. This sound was truly frightening. After Xiao Ying shouted, she quickly realized that there were no ghosts or gods in this world, but there must be police. She quickly realized that Su Yun's attire was exactly the same as what Blackbeard said about the guy who sent him in. Xiao Ying instantly understood. She wanted to escape, but there was no chance. Su Yun was already behind her. How could he let her escape? He grabbed her and held her down. "It's best if you don't run." "I don't have the habit of doing things to women," Su Yun said. "Let's sit down and talk things out. That way, it will be fairer for you." "What are you doing? Who are you? If you continue like this, I will scream for help." Xiao Ying roared. "You keep shouting. Trust me, the people you will attract will only be the police. They won't be the people who like to poke their nose into other people's business and can't tell the situation." Su Yun pursed his lips. "Choose a place beside the funeral clothes store. There won't be anyone here in the second half of the night. Even if there are people in the first half of the night, no one will come near here." Footsteps came from the distance. Su Yun was not nervous about the footsteps because he knew who they were. Xiao Ying panicked. She wanted to break free, but Su Yun was controlling her. Every time she struggled, she would suffer. However, she also knew that she had no chance of escaping. "It's about time to give up, right?" Su Yun said coolly. Xiao Ying fell silent. "If you still want to resist, that is not wise at all." Su Yun smiled. "Take out your hands from your pockets." Don't even think about calling Blackbeard. As long as you dial your number, our people will immediately find the signal. In just 1 minute, we will be able to surround Blackbeard's house. Su Yun was the one who was boasting. No one would surround him. Based on Blackbeard's habits, Su Yun made a general judgment. He would choose a small village that was well connected to live in. That way, he would be able to escape at any time. At this moment, Su Yun was gambling again. If he gambled right, he could scare Xiaoying. If he gambled wrong, he would not lose anything. Trust me. Our people have already surrounded the village where you are hiding. Su Yun, we just don't know the room. If you call, you will be exposed. Xiaoying was not stupid. She asked bluntly, "Then why did you remind me?" "I have no choice. I'm a good person." Su Yun, those crimes were committed by Blackbeard. I don't think you need to bear them with him. At this moment, the SWAT team arrived at the scene. They had been lying in ambush in the residential area. When they heard the scream in the middle of the night, they had to come out to investigate. When they saw that it was Su Yun, the SWAT team brothers were particularly surprised. When they saw that Su Yun had successfully subdued Xiaoying, they were even more confused. "Why is it you? Do you think she will take a taxi directly back to the residential area?" Su Yun's words made them lower their heads awkwardly. "She took a taxi?" One of them reacted quickly. "What about the taxi? We will know where they are hiding after we stop the taxi." When Xiaoying heard this, she immediately understood. Su Yun was lying to her. They did not know where they were hiding. Su Yun was really speechless. This guy came and caused trouble for him. Just as Xiaoying was about to call Blackbeard without hesitation to inform him, Su Yun swiftly snatched the phone away from her. "Once you make this call, you will be an accomplice. You are just covering up for a crime." "Su Yun, you don't look that old. Why are you so stupid? Is there any meaning in doing this for a murderer?" "Yes," Xiaoying said angrily. "He is my man. Do you know what a murderer is?" A SWAT team member was anxious. "That is the death penalty. He killed on purpose. Such a dangerous man. Do you think you will be happy with him? Do you think you can have a result?" There was no educational meaning in saying this at this time. Su Yun turned on the phone and saw the taxi app at a glance. He smiled slightly and opened the app. Sure enough, he saw the taxi record just now. Now, it was not troublesome to find the driver. He handed the phone to the SWAT team member next to him and pointed at the contact information on the taxi record. The SWAT team member knew what to do. He nodded. This matter was definitely settled. Xiaoying struggled a few times angrily. At this moment, she was already under the control of the SWAT team member. "You will not catch him. You will never. You should reflect on it. You have committed a lot of crimes." Su Yun shook his head helplessly. "As for your man, he is now hopeless. We will soon let him in again. This time, he will not be able to escape." Chapter 3094. You're the one who hurt his eyes. Xiaoying looked at Su Yun fiercely. Su Yun nodded. "If he didn't pull out a gun and shoot me, maybe he wouldn't have ended up like this." "You'll pay for this," Xiaoying said coldly. "You'll definitely be avenged. I promise you, he's a vengeful person. Unfortunately, he has no chance." Su Yun smiled faintly. "However, don't feel sorry for his eyes. After all, he's a person who will be sentenced to death. It doesn't matter if he has his eyes or not. You don't have to worry." Xiaoying's heart was filled with hatred, but she couldn't do anything to Su Yun. At this time, the taxi driver had been contacted. Because the traffic in the entire South Ning was now under police control, the taxi driver was quickly stopped. On the special police team's side, Zhao Guangming had already received the notice and made the arrangements immediately. They would immediately ask the taxi driver to lead them to surround the village. Only by completely controlling Blackbeard within a range would they have a chance to take him down. As for Xiaoying, she would also be brought along. If Blackbeard dared to threaten the hostage, this woman would also be their bargaining chip. Of course, the police wouldn't threaten Blackbeard by threatening Xiao Ying. However, they believed that if Blackbeard really loved this woman, as long as he obediently surrendered, they wouldn't make things too difficult for Xiao Ying. They also wouldn't give Xiao Ying a heavy sentence. They believed that Blackbeard would consider his actions. After Su Yun learned of this arrangement, he didn't hesitate to snatch the phone from the special police officer next to him. "Captain Zhao, I can guarantee you that if you arrange for people to surround the village, Blackbeard will definitely escape." Su Yun said bluntly, "Do you think he'll still be in the mood to sleep now that his woman is out? Only a fool wouldn't be able to hear you with dozens of police cars." Zhao Guangming didn't have any temper in front of Su Yun. "Then what do you think we should do? Ask the taxi driver to pick me up. I'll go with him." "Su Yun, I'll call you after this is over. You can arrange for people to come and take him away, or you can come and take Blackbeard away yourself." Su Yun's confidence was really unimaginable. Zhao Guangming was stunned for a long time, but he didn't say anything. In the end, he still chose to believe in Su Yun. This was because the first time Blackbeard was caught was because of Su Yun. If it wasn't for Su Yun, they might not have had the chance to see Blackbeard's men. And tonight, Little Ying had carried out anti-reconnaissance under Blackbeard's guidance, and it was only because of Su Yun that they were able to see through it so easily. In fact, Zhao Guangming didn't know that if it weren't for Su Yun's arrangement, Xiao Ying wouldn't have come to carry out any anti-reconnaissance, and they wouldn't have had the chance to capture him. Of course, Su Yun would not take these things to claim credit. These things were not worth mentioning to him. The members of the SWAT team did not understand why Zhao Guangming trusted Su Yun so much, but since the captain had given the order, everyone had to obey. No one could have any objections. Although this seemed like a gamble, Zhao Guangming had an inexplicable certainty. In the SWAT team, Zhang Muzhen took the initiative to speak to Zhao Guangming for the first time. "Do you really trust him that much?" "Yes," Zhao Guangming said. Zhao Guangming said, "Compared to our repeated failures, he is someone who has brought Blackbeard back once. I have no reason not to believe him." "Who exactly is he?" Zhang Muzhen said. "He's so young. There are some things that I can't tell you too much about," Zhao Guangming said. "You know that we've had a lot of misunderstandings over the years. It's all because of work. There are many things that we can't explain, so we—" Zhang Muzhen fell silent. She could understand. Even if Zhao Guangming knew Su Yun's identity, he couldn't speak carelessly. Su Yun was a very capable young man. He must be a young talent from some special department. Although Zhang Muzhen could understand this, there were many things that Zhang Muzhen didn't understand Zhao Guangming before. Now that she thought about it, she was really annoyed. There were many things that she knew Zhao Guangming couldn't say, but she still asked, which led to their cold relationship. A large part of the reason why the two of them were like this today was because she didn't understand. Zhang Muzhen had never thought about this before, but today, she really thought about it a lot. Today was the first time she saw Zhao Guangming, who worked so hard for his job. She didn't know he was like this before. Suddenly, Zhang Muzhen felt sorry for Zhao Guangming. The taxi driver was brought in front of Su Yun with a confused look on his face. Su Yun smiled and said to him, "Don't worry, brother. Nothing will happen. I'm just helping the police a little. If you're willing, I'll get the city leaders to get you a banner and send it to your company. It'll make you famous." "Really?" The taxi driver was stunned. He couldn't believe such a good thing. "Of course," Su Yun said. The taxi driver didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "But I still don't know what you want me to do. Just now, the police just wanted me to cooperate with the police investigation. I really didn't do anything bad. Everything I said is true. If you had done something bad, we would have arrested you long ago. We wouldn't have given you the chance to make a name for yourself," Su Yun said. The taxi driver smiled bitterly. "Make a name for yourself. Tell me, how do you make a name for yourself?" "You just need to do one thing. Take me to the place where this woman got into the car," Su Yun said. "Then you can make a name for yourself." "Brother, You're such a liar. I'll tell you the address. You police can go yourself, the taxi driver said. Why do you need me? Police officers all have the smell of police, but you don't, Soo-yoon said. So I need you to go. The taxi driver couldn't find a reason to refuse. Then you should at least tell me who you want me to help you catch, right? Is it dangerous? There's no danger. Soo-yoon shook his head. Because the danger is all on me. As for the person, the murderer, Blackbeard. You must have heard the news. You must have seen Ning Nan's arrest warrant. The one that gives a 100,000 reward for any clue. The taxi driver's expression changed. Oh my God! What a murderer! You've given us a clue. I'll apply for a reward for you. Of course, it might not be 100,000, but it should be at least 20,000. Soo-yoon smiled. 20,000. To find a murderer. The taxi driver's head shook like a rattle. I really can't do it. Then I'm afraid you'll have to be detained for a few days. Soo-yoon, you appeared together with Blackbeard's woman. We don't know if you're related to him. If Blackbeard runs away, you'll have to stay in jail for a few days. We'll have to interrogate you bit by bit and find evidence to prove you're innocent. Only then will we let you go. Soo-yoon was talking nonsense. But the taxi driver was wronged. You're too evil. Do you have any police ethics? I'm not a police officer. Soo-yoon smiled. So you can scold me as much as you want. I don't care. Anyway, the police comrades have to endure a lot of criticism every day. Some black sheep make many good police officers get scolded as well. They're used to it. You can't do this to me. The taxi driver shook his head desperately. Are you a man or not? Soo-yoon said disdainfully. What's there to be afraid of? On one hand, it's 20,000. After you get it, you can buy a Louis Vuitton bag for your wife. On the other hand, you'll be detained for at least a month. You decide. Chapter 3095. Do you believe that I won't sue you? The taxi driver glared. What's your police number? You're welcome to file a complaint. I'm not a police officer. Soo-yoon grinned. I realize that you're not a man. Why are you so hesitant? What's the big deal? The taxi driver's face turned ugly. What do you think is the big deal? Murderer. You want me to take you to find a murderer? I'm sick. I haven't lived long enough. I still have to support my family. Can't you be more understanding? Soo-yoon sighed helplessly. Forget it. Since you insist, I won't make it difficult for you. The taxi driver was relieved. He knew that as long as he was tough, the police couldn't do anything to him. He must fight for his own interests. Soo-yoon turned his head and said to a special police officer next to him, Do you know why some of the big men in the north say that you southern men are little men? Ah! The special police officer was stunned. He didn't understand what Soo-yoon meant. Southern men weren't as petty as others said. It's because of this kind of person. He doesn't have any courage at all. He directly ruined the reputation of southern men. Soo-yoon, since he doesn't want to say it, let him go. Lend me a taxi. I'll go by myself. What did you say? The taxi driver was unwilling. Who are you calling little men? I'll go. Whether it was a northern man or a southern man, whether it was an eastern man or a western man, as long as he was a man, he would want to save face. No matter where, any profession, any occasion, as long as he was a man, there was no one who didn't want to save face. I didn't say anything. Soo-yoon, go over there and write down the specific location. Then go back with them to make a statement. I won't write it down. I'll take you there. I'll let you, a northern man, see that southern men have guts too. The taxi driver could lose face, but he couldn't lose face for southern men. Soo-yoon grinned. Really? If you don't piss your pants, then leave. I'll leave. The taxi driver said unhappily, Today, I want you to know, don't look down on us southern men. The taxi driver was also going all out. Soo-yoon nodded. That's good. Let's go. There was a reason why Su Yun insisted that the driver take him there. Su Yun had to be on guard against people like Blackbeard. He must have his own way of survival to be able to hide safely in Ningnan for so long under the encirclement of the Special Police Force and Criminal Police Force. Therefore, Su Yun suspected that Blackbeard had installed some long-distance wireless listening devices or surveillance cameras around his hiding place. This way, he could observe the movements of the entire village at any time. If he sensed that something was wrong, he could escape immediately. It was not impossible, so Su Yun could only accept a taxi. After all, taxis did not differentiate between day and night, especially after the introduction of Didi. If Blackbeard really did make so many careful preparations, even if a taxi passed by, he wouldn't suspect anything. After all, his woman left in a taxi. On the way, the taxi driver also asked him the same question. Why did he have to take him? Su Yun just smiled and said that he wanted him to earn some money to support his family. After all, driving at night meant that it was not easy at home. Otherwise, no one would stay up in the middle of the night. The taxi driver was quite touched. In fact, Su Yun was worried that the taxi driver would talk about what happened to him tonight. Nowadays, taxi drivers carried walkie-talkies to chat while driving, especially at night. If there was no one to chat with, it would be very boring. If this kind of thing was spread, it could easily affect the social stability of Ningnan. After all, too many people liked to spread rumors. There were more and more people who talked nonsense. Su Yun was doing this for the sake of society. The taxi driver spread the news quickly. If someone were to spread the news and cause unnecessary social panic, it would be bad. Soon, the taxi driver sent Su Yun to his destination. Along the way, Su Yun got to know the driver. He didn't have the habit of chatting while driving. He didn't use the walkie-talkie, didn't call, and didn't talk much with Su Yun. He was a person who didn't talk much. Drive directly to the SWAT team. When you arrive, find their captain. Su Yun said, "He will receive you." The taxi driver nodded. After Su Yun got out of the car, he left as fast as he could. He didn't want to stay in this place for a minute longer. After getting out of a difficult situation, anyone would want to share it with their loved ones. The taxi driver was no exception. After leaving, he wanted to take out his phone to tell his wife, but when he searched his pocket, he couldn't find his phone. At that moment, Su Yun had already sneaked into the village. He turned off the taxi driver's phone and stuffed it into his pocket. Safety first. The village was very quiet. There wasn't even a dog barking. This was something that Su Yun was worried about. Dogs didn't just have good ears. Their noses were also good. Su Yun could control the sound of his footsteps, but there was no way to control the smell. He was a stranger, so the smell of a stranger would definitely alarm the dog. Fortunately, no one in the village had a dog. This was probably thanks to Blackbeard. It was normal for Blackbeard to have a nervous breakdown after doing this kind of thing. He often couldn't sleep at night. He couldn't sleep if there was a weak sound. He was very sensitive to sound. Once a dog barked, he would be very angry. Originally, there were many families in the village who had dogs. However, when Blackbeard went in and out every night, the dogs would bark wildly. This made him very upset. Especially when he came back after finishing his work, the dogs barking made him very scared. The sudden barking in the middle of the night made him even angrier. For a guy who even dared to kill people, killing dogs was a piece of cake. Therefore, on a dark and windy night, Blackbeard threw a piece of pork wrapped in poison to every family who had a dog. After that day, all the dogs were gone. The people in the village were also puzzled. How could all the dogs die in one night? The people in the village talked about this matter for a few days. At least, no one would raise a dog during this period of time. There were many speculations about the cause of the dog's death. Before the matter was clear, no one would raise another dog to die. Blackbeard originally did something for himself. Now, he was caught in a trap of his own making. If he didn't poison the dogs, a dog would definitely inform him when Su Yun appeared tonight. Unfortunately, there wasn't a single dog left. After Su Yun entered the village, he observed the situation at the door of each house. Through some details, Su-Yun could see how many people came in and out of each house, whether there was anyone living there, and so on. When Su-Yun came to the village, he had already noticed a problem. Most of the people in the village grew mangoes. At this time, mangoes were in the market. Even at night, the village could smell a very strong mango smell. Many people had mango peels in front of their houses. But the only thing that was very surprising was that there was no such thing. This aroused Su-Yun's suspicion. Walking into the door of this house, Su-Yun observed again. It didn't look like a normal family at all. After confirming the target, Su-Yun flew over the courtyard wall. He had to find proof for his judgment. The lack of farm tools in the courtyard was the best proof. The people in the village, even if they were lazy, would have some tools at home. There were only people who lived here, or people who lived here but didn't do farm work. The courtyard was very clean. It was obvious that someone often cleaned it, so it was impossible that no one lived here. Su-Yun's mouth slightly raised, revealing an evil smile. Chapter 3096. Since Xiaoying left, Blackbeard couldn't feel at ease. He had already taken all the things that he should carry with him. At this moment, he was sitting at the head of the bed. There was a black pistol beside the pillow. This gun wasn't an imitation pistol from the black market. It was a real gun that he got from the police. There were still 5 bullets in it. He had killed more than one person with this gun. Just the crime of assaulting a police officer was enough to get him the death penalty, not to mention other crimes. So, he absolutely couldn't be caught. This was the only request that Blackbeard had for himself. His eyes were seriously injured, but he couldn't feel any pain at all. Being caught by Su-Yun was the first time in Blackbeard's life that he had been caught. This was a very big blow to his self-confidence. Blackbeard never thought that he would encounter such an encounter. He had a headache and was worried. He had realized that there was no such thing as walking by the river without getting your shoes wet. Since he could be caught the first time, there would definitely be a second time. Where should he go? What kind of place could he go to so that he could be safe? Of course, there was another problem. How much money did he need to go to a place where he could live a carefree life with his own woman? He would never have to worry about living. This was something that Blackbeard had never considered before. Obviously, now that he thought of this problem, the most crucial point appeared. Where could he go to do something big? Now that he was already on the death penalty, he didn't care about doing anything excessive. If he wanted to get a lot of money, the only thing he could do alone was to rob a place where he could make a lot of money. Gold shops, bank escort cars, these were all businesses that could make him a lot of money. Of course, this kind of business was too dangerous. Directly robbing the escort car was the most suitable. What he got was money. But they were all protected by armed guards. The people who were escorting them were not to be trifled with. The guns were also very powerful. The risk was too high. It was very likely that he would be killed on the spot. The gold shop was probably the best choice because gold was always the universal currency. There were no armed guards in the gold shop. The only drawback was that he still needed to find a way to sell the gold. Just as Blackbeard was about to do something big before he left, footsteps came from the door. Before he could ask who it was, the door was kicked open. Su-Yun walked to the door and heard Blackbeard's heavy breathing. Because Blackbeard was also nervous, his breathing was especially heavy. Especially when he thought about doing another job, his nervousness intensified. Su-Yun's visit at this time was really timely. Blackbeard had already raised his pistol. With a click, the bullet was loaded and the safety was removed. When Su-Yun entered the room, he saw a pistol aimed at him. He felt a little regretful. He didn't expect Blackbeard to be so capable. He had more than one gun. This bastard was truly ruthless. When Blackbeard saw that it was Su-Yun, his remaining eye instantly turned red from holding it in. It was a meeting between enemies. One of his eyes had almost been crippled, and it was all this guy's fault. This guy actually came knocking on his door again. A wave of anger welled up in his heart. Blackbeard's fingers trembled. At this moment, he wanted to beat Su-Yun to death. The last time you shot, in the car, only a few centimeters away from me, you didn't hit. Su-Yun shrugged his shoulders. Now the distance between the two of us is about 5 meters. If you shoot and miss, I guarantee that your second eye will be destroyed. Blackbeard wasn't afraid of threats, but he didn't shoot. He didn't shoot because he wanted to know how Su-Yun found him. How did you know this place? Blackbeard didn't dare to neglect. The pistol in his hand was aimed at Su-Yun. Su-Yun didn't move. He knew that Blackbeard was still very emotional. What do you think? You are such a smart person. You must know. I don't need to waste my breath, right? Blackbeard frowned. He had an idea, but he didn't dare to make wild guesses. I am here to bring you a message. Your Xiaoying is safe now. The special police won't hurt her. Su-Yun said faintly, it's just that she doesn't cooperate. She may be charged with harboring someone. Blackbeard's heart was in suspense. Xiaoying was actually caught by them? The pistol trembled again. Su-Yun pretended to be worried and shook his head. Be careful. If this thing goes off by accident, I'll be crippled. Blackbeard, you don't care about killing one more person, but if you cooperate, you might be able to reduce your woman's crime. Think about it carefully. Blackbeard's face trembled. You came alone? If a bunch of policemen came, with your sense of danger, how could you not notice? Su-Yun said, I am not a policeman, so you can't smell me. Blackbeard really wanted to eat Su-Yun alive. I am warning you. You are alone now. I have a lot of bullets in my pistol. I don't believe that I can't kill you. As long as you die, I can leave. That woman is nothing to me. Is that so? Su-Yun said, if that woman is nothing to you, you would have run away long ago. Blackbeard clenched his teeth. Since I dared to come, it means that I don't think you have the ability to kill me, Su-Yun said. Blackbeard, you have killed a lot of people and policemen, but you can't kill me. Blackbeard could feel the cold air coming from Su-Yun's body. Who are you? A criminal like you has no right to know. Su-Yun said, don't make me do it. Maybe you will have a chance to see the woman you love again. But if you do it again, I can't guarantee that I will show mercy to a guy who shot me twice. Blackbeard sneered. Even if I don't do it, you won't let me go. Even if I do, you won't let me go. If I surrender, I will die. I will fight. Even if I die, it will not be a loss. What do you think I will choose? Then you're asking for trouble. Su-Yun smiled faintly. Blackbeard's face flashed with a trace of ruthlessness. He pulled the trigger without hesitation. Even if he died, he would bury this conceited guy with him. However, the moment he pulled the trigger, Su-Yun's figure left an afterimage. He could no longer stop the trigger. The gunshot shook the room. In the night sky, the sound was infinitely amplified. Everyone in the village was awakened. In the next second, Blackbeard felt a sharp pain in his wrist. Su-Yun did not give him the chance to fire a second shot. He did not hesitate to break Blackbeard's wrist. The unimaginable state of his forearm caused everyone's heart to palpitate. The handgun fell and slid several meters away. Even so, Blackbeard struggled to pick up the gun. The gun was his only hope of killing Su-Yun. He could not give up. Su-Yun's foot struck Blackbeard's calf bone. Blackbeard cried out and fell to the ground. His mouth and nose were badly mutilated. In order to save him from danger, Su-Yun had no choice but to step on Blackbeard's other arm. His leg suddenly exerted force and the sound of bones breaking rang out. Blackbeard's scream tore through the night sky once more. As I said, I will not show mercy to a guy who shot me twice, Su-Yun said coldly. Blackbeard, it is over. Blackbeard wanted to struggle. However, both his arms were broken and one of his legs was crippled by Su-Yun. What else could he do? There was no longer any hope for him. A bitter smile emerged from Blackbeard's mouth. He knew that his retribution had finally come. It was over. Chapter 3097. The biggest case in Ningnan City was finally solved. Blackbeard was caught this time. Without anyone watching over him, he couldn't escape. He was completely crippled by Su Yun. As for Blackbeard's crimes, all the evidence was conclusive. In the end, Blackbeard could only plead guilty. As for his woman, Xiao Ying, she was sentenced to 8 years in prison for covering up for Blackbeard's serious crime. The law was solemn and would not be affected by personal feelings. A crime was a crime, and a felony was a felony. Without Xiao Ying's protection, Blackbeard wouldn't have been able to commit 3 serious crimes in Ningnan City. This was a crime that Xiao Ying deserved, and no one could absolve her. As for the girl in the 24-hour convenience store, her punishment was lighter. Originally, she should have been detained based on the harm she caused. However, due to the special circumstances, she didn't know the inside story at all. Therefore, she was only given a controlled punishment. The controlled punishment was not to imprison her, but to restrict her freedom to a certain extent. She would be subject to community correction according to the law. The girl gladly accepted all the punishment. She also had a very good attitude towards admitting her mistakes. Of course, the controlled punishment did not affect her work. She could still work in the convenience store and receive equal pay. Because it was close to the SWAT team, she didn't have to do any community correction. Whenever the SWAT team held a legal meeting or legal publicity, she would volunteer to serve tea and help with the publicity. This girl definitely didn't have the intention to commit a crime. She was just a silly child. After everything was settled, Su Yun went to find Xia Qiuyu. Xia Qiuyu didn't stay idle either. During the day, she helped her sister tidy up the house, went to the hospital to take care of the children, and went to the night market to help De Zhuang sell roasted chicken for a while. This little life experience was very good. When Su Yun came back, she didn't want to leave. The days here were very interesting. It was much better than doing nothing every day. However, they still had to leave. There was news from the brigade. Wan Guangxiao had already arranged for someone to report to Su Yun. At this moment, they had already arrived at Ningnan. If there was no traffic jam on the road, they would arrive at the hotel they were staying at in 10 minutes. Su Yun didn't ask who it was, and Wan Guangxiao didn't say anything either. When Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu rushed back to the hotel, they saw the snobbish vice manager and the snobbish security captain at the entrance of the lobby, saying something to a man and a woman while flaunting their authority. Looking at this aura, it was especially awesome. The deputy manager put his hands on his waist like an arrogant rooster. What kind of hotel is this? You want to enter without even looking clearly. Do you understand the membership system? This is not a place that just anyone can live in. The security captain said disapprovingly, even if we let you stay, would you dare to? It's at least 5 digits a night. The man and woman were dressed very normally. The man wore a pair of greenish-gray overalls, a clean white t-shirt, and a pair of black Magnum all-around physical training shoes. The girl was also dressed simply. She wore sand-colored casual pants, a neat short-sleeved shirt, and clean flats. No matter how she looked at them, they didn't look like rich people. We already said that we're here to look for someone, not to check in. The man was a little impatient. Look for someone? Who are you looking for? Which room? You don't know anything, and you dare to say that you're here to look for someone? The deputy manager looked at them with contempt. The girl was still very polite. Sorry, manager, we didn't ask which room they're staying in. They're not here now. We'll wait here for a while, and they'll be back soon. You look quite pretty, but why are you so immature? I already said that we're not a place that just anyone can come in. The security captain said, you're not our members, and you're not staying here. You also didn't tell us which room you're looking for. We can't let you rest in the lobby. The man was anxious. What's so arrogant about a broken hotel like you? We're such a high-class place. It's not your place to behave atrociously here. The deputy manager glared. Just look at the overalls and white t-shirts. They didn't even have a brand. They were pure cotton things that could be bought on Taobao for 30 yuan. Of course, he looked down on them. High class. I can't come here if it's high class. The man was most annoyed by these bastards who looked at people with colored glasses. Which one of your eyes think that I'm not a high-end customer? You can't judge a book by its cover. Haven't you heard of this? You're looking down on people. Do you know that? We serve high-end customers, not poor people like you. The deputy manager was also impatient. He didn't hold back his words. Get lost. Be careful or I won't be polite to you. Since the deputy manager spoke rudely, the security captain naturally had to cooperate with the leader. He immediately called for people to drive them out. Su Yun drove the black Jeep Grand Cherokee and stopped in front of them. When the hotel's assistant manager saw the car, he put on a servile smile. Before the car turned off, Su Yun opened the door and jumped down. He looked at the hotel deputy manager unhappily. Why? You treated me like this at the beginning, and now you treat my friend like this? I think you should really talk to your boss. Why are you in the King service industry for people like you? Su Yun reprimanded the hotel deputy manager as soon as he got out of the car. The man and the woman were overjoyed. They weren't just anyone. The man was Chen Feng, and the woman was Yu Meiren. The two of them were arranged by Wan Guangxiao to meet Su Yun. Su Yun didn't expect this. He always thought that the bureau chief would send the two newcomers who were spying on Xionghu to deliver the news to him. Why did it suddenly become Chen Feng and Yu Meiren? The two of them couldn't have come all the way from Yanjing. This didn't make sense. Brother, you're finally back. Chen Feng quickly went forward and hugged Su Yun. After Yu Meiren saw Su Yun, her heart relaxed. Look, you found such a good hotel. You didn't even let us in. Don't find such a high-class place in the future. Su Yun squeezed Chen Feng's shoulder and walked in front of Yu Meiren. He sized her up. You've lost weight. Did something happen during this period of time? I always tell you to take care of your body. Why don't you listen? Faced with Su Yun's reprimand, Yu Meiren wasn't unhappy at all. She knew that this was Su Yun's concern. Ayaya, I really didn't recognize Mount Tai. So it's Chairman Su's friend. Why didn't the two of you say so earlier? The hotel deputy manager slapped his thigh and squeezed out a vexed expression. I really deserve to die. Chen Feng didn't even look at him. You really know how to act. You overdid it. It's too exaggerated. The hotel deputy manager could only push all the blame to the security captain. Look at you. You can't even recognize Chairman Su's friend. What use do I have for you? You don't want to work anymore, right? If you don't want to work anymore, scram. You're a disgrace. The security captain didn't dare to say anything. When he was flaunting his power just now, he wasn't the one who went overboard. Chairman Su, don't worry. I'll punish him severely. The hotel deputy manager pointed at the security captain and said to Su Yun humbly. Su Yun waved his hand. Don't pretend anymore. Do what you should do. Don't be an eyesore in front of me, okay? Yes, yes, yes. At this time, Xia Qiuyu also walked out of the car. Chen Feng and Yu Meiren's eyes fell on Xia Qiuyu. Let me introduce her. She's Xia Qiuyu. Su Yun immediately said, I don't need to say more about who she is. You all know. The chief must have told you. Nice to meet you. Yu Meiren smiled. Chen Feng also grinned. Miss Xia is really a beauty. I say, when did you become so disgusting? Miss Xia. You make it sound like you're in an idol drama. Su Yun. Don't be so polite. We're all on the same side. Why are you pretending to be a gentleman? Chapter 3098. Shouldn't you introduce? Xia Qiuyu looked at Yu Meiren and Chen Feng and asked Su Yun. Su Yun pointed at Chen Feng. This is my brother, Chen Feng. He grew up with me naked. Hello. Xia Qiuyu was quite polite to strangers. This is Yu Meiren. Su Yun paused when introducing Yu Meiren. Hua Xia's youngest and most promising doctor. She's a treasure of our country. She may be young, but she's already made a lot of breakthroughs in medical research. That's amazing. Xia Qiuyu looked at Yu Meiren in surprise. You're so beautiful and talented. That's amazing. Qian Feng also flattered, my beautiful sister isn't an ordinary person. She could have relied on her looks, but she relied on her talent. Yeah, I've never seen a doctor who made such a big breakthrough at such a young age. Xia Qiuyu didn't pretend to be surprised. She was speaking from the bottom of her heart. Qiuyu, I'm sorry. Yu Meiren said humbly. I was just lucky. That's why I made some achievements. Don't listen to Su Yun's nonsense. He's exaggerating. My brother isn't exaggerating at all. I can testify. Qian Feng said. The truth was the truth. Su Yun waved his hand and said, Don't stand here. Let's go back to the room and talk. Otherwise, people might think we're a bunch of paupers. We're taking selfies in front of other people's hotels to show off. Su Yun's words made the deputy manager and the security captain blush. The deputy manager led everyone back while apologizing to Su Yun. Su Yun didn't even look at him. It doesn't matter if you look down on me. But if you look down on everyone, that's a problem with your professional attitude. Don't talk so much nonsense with me. You can explain it to your boss. The deputy manager pretended to be a coward the whole way. He didn't expect Su Yun to be so ungrateful, so he lost face. Our boss? Hee hee. Mr. Su, I think I've said what I should say and made up for what I should. If you're still so pretentious, then I won't accompany you. If you can contact our boss and ask me to leave, I'll give it to you. Judging from his tone, he was pretending again. Su Yun simply ignored him, and the few of them were also very disgusted. The hotel's assistant manager no longer followed behind them and pretended to be subservient. After they entered the elevator and went upstairs, he spat and scolded them for being pretentious. What's the big deal? How dare they threaten him with their boss? Why are they pretending? When everyone arrived at the room, Beauty Yu was a little embarrassed. It was a suite and there was only one bed inside. Su Yun also saw Beauty Yu's reaction. He could only try his best to change the topic. Why are you here? It's like this. Qian Feng said, half a month ago, beautiful sister received a special mission. She had to give a speech at 8 medical academies in the country. I was ordered to be a bodyguard. The last stop was in Guangzhou. After I was done, I reported to the chief, and the chief told me that you were in the south. Su Yun nodded. He understood what Wan Guangxiao meant. He wanted to give Yu Meiren a chance to see him. After all, he didn't even say goodbye to Yu Meiren before the brigade left for Africa. However, Wan didn't consider everything. If he was here on a mission, he could let Yu Meiren come and stay with him. However, he had Xia Qiuyu with him on this mission. If Yu Meiren came, wouldn't it be easy for her to misunderstand? Chief, you're such a scammer. What a godly teammate. The 2 brothers in charge of the investigation in Xionghu have already given me all the information. Qian Feng said, the 2 of them haven't been assigned to the special forces yet, but they're already thinking of joining Dragon's Fury. So, they're very thorough and serious about this matter. Qian Feng handed the information to Su Yun. Su Yun took it and opened it. Then you didn't tell them that as long as they're in the Dragon Brigade, any special forces team is the same. There's no difference in rank? Qian Feng was smug. He just smiled and didn't say anything. Do you think he would say that? Yu Meiren shook her head helplessly. Su Yun felt helpless. He shook his head and asked Yu Meiren, was he especially arrogant and proud at that time? Yeah, he was so cocky. He told the 2 of them that the Dragon Fury team isn't a team that anyone can join just because they want to. Only those who have made countless contributions will have a chance. Yu Meiren sighed. He also said that Yen Long didn't agree that the Dragon Fury team would accept anyone. If they did, they would only accept the most elite warriors. Su Yun exclaimed helplessly, Qian Feng, you're just using the tiger's skin as a flag. Dragon's fury is high and mighty in the eyes of the newbies. Qian Feng felt that he didn't do anything wrong. This is a tradition, okay? What tradition? You're just being vain. Su Yun said, don't pretend in the future. You'll ruin your character. I'm not being vain. Chen Feng said seriously, boss, think about it. When we first joined the Dragon Brigade when we were young, and when we grew up and entered the Special Forces, what did the Special Forces look like in our eyes? Su Yun was startled for a moment. Was Dragon's Fury a high and mighty existence in our eyes at that time? Chen Feng's words were true. So, this is the tradition of Dragon's Fury. Only the best people can enter Dragon's Fury, Chen Feng said bluntly. Su Yun smiled bitterly. You don't have to be so direct. If they don't enter Dragon's Fury in the end, wouldn't it leave a shadow in their hearts? Whether or not they can enter Dragon's Fury, I can guarantee that their enthusiasm will be stronger than before. Chen Feng said, in our Dragon Brigade, those who can enter Dragon's Fury are all people with halos. Who doesn't train hard every day? It was really like that. Chen Feng said again, those brothers who didn't enter Dragon's Fury also train hard, right? Because they want to prove that they are worthy of entering Dragon's Fury. Because they are more powerful than the people in Dragon's Fury. So, this is a virtuous cycle. Su Yun smiled. What you said makes me feel that the bureau chief and master are really scheming. Isn't all of this caused by their arrangement? Chen Feng quickly shut up and said seriously, you said that, I didn't. There's no one here, Su Yun said. I'm not stupid enough to say that in front of the bureau chief and master. Chen Feng pointed at Yu Maren's collar. Su Yun instantly froze. F*CK, why didn't you tell me earlier that you had a wireless monitoring device? I was worried about beautiful sister's safety, that's why. Chen Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Boss, it's too late. What you said just now must have been passed on. Okay, I've seen people who cheat their teammates, but I've never seen such a godly cheat like you. Su Yun had almost finished reading the information in his hands. As he spoke, his eyes never left the information in his hands. This was all the information about the whereabouts of the beast head, as well as all the information about Lai Wen's arrangements for this matter. The investigation was very, very detailed. It seemed that the two rookies really wanted to enter Dragon Fury team. This was also a big gift for Yen Long. After reading all the information, Su Yun smiled and said to Chen Feng, they are really quite suitable to enter Dragon's Fury. Brother, you approved of them so quickly. Chen Feng was quite surprised. That's right. They are very attentive, very cautious, and use their brains very well. Su Yun, when you followed me in the past, you were all led astray by me. You were more impulsive when doing things. It's your fortune to have these two cautious guys to help you. Chen Feng didn't accept this. It's their fortune. Boss, you're getting worse at talking now. Chapter 3099. Xia Qiuyu only wanted to take the document from Su Yun's hands, but she felt embarrassed in front of Yu Meiren and Chen Feng. Su Yun could tell what she was thinking, so he handed the document over. Xia Qiuyu hesitated for a moment before taking the information from Su Yun. To her, the information on Su Yun and the others should be kept confidential. After all, she was an outsider, so it was normal for her to hesitate on such matters. Compared to Su Yun, Xia Qiuyu looked at the document more seriously. Her expression quickly changed. She was shocked, completely shocked. She looked up at Su Yun in disbelief. Su Yun could be so calm just now. Boss, this isn't easy to solve. Chen Feng stopped joking around, and his expression became serious. I think the chief is being irrational. Su Yun knew what he meant. That's right. Yu Meiren also tried to persuade him. I think we need to talk to the chief about this. Let's think about it at length. It's not wise to let a girl get involved. I asked for this, Su Yun said calmly. He avoided Yu Meiren's gaze. You asked for it. The two of them opened their jaws in shock. This wasn't Su Yun's style. Yes, Su Yun said. Yu Meiren shook her head. She didn't believe it. To be exact, I asked for it. Xia Qiuyu looked up and said, I'm being stubborn, but I have my reasons. What you did was really wrong. Yu Meiren was also a girl, so she knew the danger. This isn't something a girl can do. Xia Qiuyu was still determined. If I can't get involved, then there's no point for me to come to Huaxia. No, it's meaningful that you're here. If you didn't appear, we wouldn't have been able to obtain the clues now, Beauty, you said. There's no need for you to risk your life. If I value my life that much, what reason does Su Yun have to do this? Xia Qiuyu asked. Yu Meiren was stunned. She didn't know how to answer. Beauty Xia, this matter has already affected the interests of the country. I believe you know what we do. If we don't have a reason to do this, then how can we call ourselves soldiers who protect the country? Qian Feng said, we don't need any reason to do this. We have to do this. Xia Qiuyu couldn't refute. No matter what, I can't leave myself out of this. You think so too? Yu Meiren looked at Su Yun. She didn't believe that Su Yun would be so irrational. I don't think so, but she won't listen to me. So, I don't want to waste my energy and words. Su Yun smiled bitterly. If I said not to let her go and she agreed, then I definitely wouldn't let her go. Yu Meiren had a headache. Did you say that? No. Su Yun shook his head. Yu Meiren was helpless. She couldn't communicate with people like him. He was too stubborn. He only did things for the sake of meaning. This is something she can't stop, Su Yun said. Why? Yu Meiren said. Anything can be stopped. It's just that you think too much. Too much. I don't know how to say it. I only know that many things can't be done for the sake of the so-called meaning in your heart. Su Yun smiled. If one day, in a dangerous place, my brothers and I in Dragon's Fury are in danger and need the help of a doctor, will you go? Of course I will go. Yu Meiren said without hesitation. That dangerous place is very likely to kill you. Actually, arranging for other doctors to come can also solve the problem, Su Yun said indifferently. What will you choose? No matter what, I will go. No matter who goes, I won't sit back and do nothing. Yu Meiren said. Every one of you in Dragon's Fury has a different meaning to my life. So, At this point, Beauty Yu was stunned. Yes, everyone had something that had a different meaning to them. For Yu Meiren, every one of the members of Dragon's Fury inherited her brother's spirit. In Yu Meiren's eyes, all of the Dragon's Fury brothers were her brothers. It was her brother's sacrifice that saved the lives of all the Dragon Fury team members. Therefore, Yu Meiren cared a lot about the lives of every Dragon's Fury brother, just like how she cared about her own brother's life. This had a special meaning to her. Su Yun's sudden question made Yu Meiren realize that the beast head had a special meaning to Xia Qiuyu. Xia Qiuyu's father had always been looking for the beast head, and his death was very likely related to it. This was something that Xia Qiuyu absolutely could not sit idly by and do nothing about. I understand, Yu Meiren said calmly. She looked at Xia Qiuyu calmly. You have a reason to go, I support you. I believe that you will succeed. Thank you, Xia Qiuyu said calmly. Su Yun's understanding of Xia Qiuyu made Xia Qiuyu feel grateful. She never thought that this was the reason why Su Yun didn't reject her. Su Yun also never saw her as a burden. This was something that Xia Qiuyu never thought of. For Xia Qiuyu, Su Yun was the most special person in her life. He was so special that she couldn't describe it with words. Boss, I support letting Beauty Xia do this personally. I really support it, Qian Feng said. But there's one thing that I have a problem with. I think you should talk to the chief about it. I know what you're thinking better than anyone else, but this isn't suitable for you guys. Su Yun said. The chief won't agree. Qian Feng said helplessly, it's such a dangerous thing. If you don't let the brothers follow you, they will definitely be worried. Boss, just talk to the chief and let him think of a solution. There's no solution. You guys are Huaxia's soldiers. You know very well what it means to do this with this identity. Su Yun said, if we let the scheming leaders of the American Empire get hold of this, they will definitely use it against us. I don't think I need to tell you how bad the impact on China's international reputation will be. Chen Feng couldn't refute. We all know very well that there is an anti-Chinese woman running for president in the United States. If we do anything out of line, this woman will definitely use it to increase her support. Su Yun said, so we have to be careful in everything we do. As a Hua Xia person, they probably wouldn't like this super scheming woman. This woman was the woman who accidentally bombed the Hua Xia embassy in Nantes. She was a little B*TCH who made a lot of anti-Chinese comments. Is there no other way for us to help you? Chen Feng said. I think we can definitely find a suitable way. Yes, if you can think of a suitable way, you can come. Su Yun. But there's no suitable way. Although I've been recognized by the Dragon Brigade again, and everyone knows that I'm from the Dragon Brigade, my name has been removed from the national system. You guys can't be like me. Chapter 3100. Yes. I know what to do. Chen Feng suddenly slapped his thigh. Let the chief remove our names too. That way, we'll have the same status as you. Then, no one will say anything when we go on missions with you, right? Su Yun glared at Chen Feng. Do you think Dragon Brigade is a bathhouse in your neighborhood? You can go if you want to go if you want to go. Chen Feng knew that what he said was a bit too much. He quickly lowered his head and didn't say anything. He only dared to say this in front of Su Yun. If he said it in front of Wan Guangxiao or Wang Yi, he would probably be punished to run 50 kilometers with weights and be punished for 2 months. If you have the brothers from Dragon's Fury with you, the chances of success will be higher. Yu Meiren was also worried about Su Yun. Su Yun smiled faintly. Those guys aren't reliable. I'll be more comfortable without them. Bro, let's not joke around. Do you really think you can deal with the Sacred Flame mercenary group? Chen Feng showed a nervous and uneasy expression for the first time since they met. Su Yun nodded. Let's try. Since they dare to target our national treasure, there's nothing we can do. Xia Qiuyu wasn't as excited as before. What kind of mercenary group is the Sacred Flame mercenary group? How did Lai Wen hire them? As the saying goes, money makes the world go round. Su Yun, as long as you have enough money, Lai Wen can find someone willing to work for him. I've only heard of America's Blackwater, South Africa's EO, Israel's IZO. I've never heard of the Sacred Flame mercenary group. Xia Qiuyu said, are they strong? Yu Meiren frowned. The 3 you mentioned are all large mercenary companies. The Sacred Flame mercenary group isn't a large mercenary company. They only have 14 people. Strictly speaking, they can't be called a mercenary group. At most, they're a small team. 14 people? This can't be considered a mercenary group. Xia Qiuyu heaved a sigh of relief. She had thought that they would be facing a mercenary group with thousands of people. Chen Feng poured cold water on her just in time. Beauty Xia, don't underestimate these 14 people. These 14 people have the ability to fight against 100 people. They are not ordinary mercenaries. Ordinary mercenaries are not their opponents. They are all retired or defectors from mysterious special forces of various countries. Each of them has their own unique skills. Xia Qiuyu was a little confused. It would be better to deal with a small mercenary group of 2,000 people. At least he could take advantage of the chaos to sneak in and do something. To deal with only 14 people, it was impossible to sneak in with a disguise. They would be seen through at a glance. Moreover, each of them had unique skills. This was too difficult. Why would Lai Wen find such a mercenary group? Xia Qiuyu couldn't understand. Lai Wen is a very smart person. He wouldn't find a mercenary group with a large number of people. Although the price is about the same, having more people doesn't mean it's better. Su Yun. The beast's head is priceless. If someone in a mercenary group with a large number of people has bad intentions, it is very likely that something will happen internally. Su Yun's analysis clearly made sense. The probability of this happening with 14 people is much lower. Moreover, it can prevent people with bad intentions from sneaking into the mercenary group to do something. Su Yun, if it was a mercenary group with thousands of people, I would only need to get rid of one person and then change my disguise to sneak in. It would be very difficult to be noticed. In a large mercenary group, no one would know everyone. Lai Wen, this bastard. He actually thought of everything. Xia Qiuyu gritted her teeth in hatred. This guy is really too much of a bastard. Su Yun, otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to confirm that the beast's head is in his hands until now. Yu Meiren helplessly shook her head. The opponents we met were already troublesome enough. The scariest thing is that the Sacred Flame mercenary group has already taken the item out of the country. Su Yun sighed and once again took the document from Xia Qiuyu's hands. Southeast Asia. They haven't stopped yet. No one can be sure which country they will settle down in. This is a headache. Qian Feng said, Southeast Asia is a damn place. Is there a place more chaotic than that in the world? Damn, these bastards really know how to choose a place. Religious conflicts, economic conflicts, competition for resources at sea, all kinds of reasons led to the chaos in this area. This was something that couldn't be controlled in a short period of time. Su Yun was silent for a while. They will have a place to settle down in the end. And this place isn't hard to determine. Thank you for following them all the way. Boss, you can even determine this? Qian Feng looked at Su Yun with some disbelief. Su Yun nodded. It really isn't difficult. It's very simple. You have all seen the information on the Sacred Flame mercenary group's leader. Yu Meiren once again took the document from Su Yun's hands. Albanian of Italian descent, codenamed Stinging Ant. No one knows his real name. Yu Meiren calmly said, with this information, can you tell where he will settle down? Most Albanians believe in Jesus, but the Albanians of Italian descent believe in God. Think about it, where in Southeast Asia is the Catholic paradise? Su Yun smiled slightly. Yu Meiren suddenly understood. The Philippines. That's right. Even the Philippines. That place believes in God. I believe Stinging Ant will also want to go to a country with his own beliefs. Su Yun, moreover, there is another situation that makes it more suitable for him to go to the Philippines. Qian Feng's expression was cold. The Philippines is anti-Chinese. Qian Feng had never had a good impression of the American Empire's lackey. The Philippines was anti-Chinese because they wanted to cooperate with the American Empire's policy of returning to the Asia-Pacific. They wanted to cause trouble for Hua Xia in the South China Sea. The interests of the islands in the South China Sea were indeed enough to make this country jealous. Of course, there were other reasons. Hua Xia's industrial upgrading had eliminated some industries in the Philippines. Therefore, the Philippines competed with Hua Xia in light industry and other consumer goods. The Chinese in the Philippines were smarter than the locals. They were better off and richer in the Philippines. This was also a source of hatred. There was also the possibility that some Chinese people were anti-Chinese. They just wanted to gain political capital. In short, the Philippines became the most disgusting piece of shit in Hua Xia's South China Sea under the instigation of the American Empire and the funding of the Japanese. The Sacred Flame mercenary group was the safest to go to the Philippines. All these factors made it impossible for Hua Xia to arrange for people to provoke them. This was obviously the easiest place. These bastards really know how to find a place, Xia Qiuyu whispered. She did not have a good impression of the Philippines at all. The Philippines bullied the Chinese. This was no secret. Hua Xia people had to be careful in the Philippines. They could not go out alone in the middle of the night, especially women. If they were seen by those bastards in the Philippines, they would definitely do something outrageous. Su Yun moved his shoulders. It's good to find a place like this. He. This is good? Xia Qiuyu could not understand Su Yun's thoughts. Yu Meiren knew Su Yun better. Su Yun, don't forget what you're doing. The mission comes first. Try not to cause trouble. I don't want you to get into trouble. After all, you don't have any outside help. Don't worry. Su Yun smiled. If I can't even deal with some anti-Chinese extremists, how can I deal with the Sacred Flame mercenary group? Yu Meiren was still worried. No matter what, you have to be careful. Chapter 3101. Su Yun had been to this archipelago country in Southeast Asia before. It was a completely personal vacation trip. The reason was very simple. He heard that the seafood in the Philippines was ridiculously cheap. It was indeed ridiculously cheap. A super sumptuous seafood meal only cost 200 pesos. It was quite extravagant in the Philippines, but it was less than 30 renminbi. 30 RMB could not even buy a crab in Hua Xia. In Hua Xia, where seafood was cheap, 10 RMB could buy 3 oysters. In the Philippines, 10 RMB could buy 4 to 5 catties. Sometimes, it was even cheaper than cabbage in China. Of course, Su Yun had also been to the Spratly Islands once because of the South China Sea issue. He was worried that the Philippines would be instigated by the American Empire and do something extreme. Therefore, Su Yun and the others were arranged to go to the South Island. However, there was no conflict. Hua Xia was a country of etiquette. Sometimes, being magnanimous could show the aura of Hua Xia. Su Yun did not expect that he would go to the Philippines not to eat seafood, but to find the beast's head. To be honest, he did not want to go, because that place was only suitable for foodies to eat seafood. There was nothing else to it. After confirming the destination, Su Yun reported the situation to Wan Guangxiao. Wan Guangxiao used a day to arrange everything that the two of them needed. Even the plane tickets were personally delivered to Su Yun by a 2-star 4-star from the local military region. Of course, this was not an inconvenience to the colonel. Although Su Yun was young, Su Yun was carrying a Major General of the Golden Star Inari on his shoulders. Yu Meiren did not want to be separated from Su Yun so soon, but she had no other choice. With her status, it was impossible for her to follow Su Yun to catch people and find the beast's head. No matter how dejected Chen Feng was, there was nothing he could do. He had no say in this matter, so he could only follow orders. Xia Qiuyu could see the helplessness and anxiety in Yu Meiren's eyes. Yu Meiren's admiration for Su Yun could not be hidden from a woman's eyes. "Don't worry, I'll definitely take good care of Su Yun for you," Xia Qiuyu whispered into Yu Meiren's ear. Yu Meiren was startled. She looked at Xia Qiuyu and didn't know what to say. Xia Qiuyu had a woman's intuition. Yu Meiren also had a woman's sixth sense. It wasn't that she didn't feel Xia Qiuyu's feelings for Su Yun. Now that Xia Qiuyu said this to her, she really didn't know what to say in response. "You don't have to say anything. I know," Xia Qiuyu said. "Su Yun saved me before, so, if he's in danger, I'll trade my life for his." "Don't be so pessimistic," Yu Meiren hurriedly said. "That won't happen. I believe that you'll be able to turn danger into safety. You'll definitely be able to complete this mission smoothly." Xia Qiuyu nodded heavily. "Looks like the two of you hit it off pretty well. When we get back, I'll make some arrangements and find a place to have a celebratory feast. You guys can have a good chat then," Su Yun interrupted the two with a smile. The plane would take off in 2 hours. They still had to rush to the airport. There really wasn't much time to chat now. "Have a safe trip." Yu Meiren looked at Su Yun and bit her lip. Su Yun nodded and stroked Yu Meiren's long hair. "Don't worry. The fortune teller said that I'm a lucky person. Even if something dangerous happens to me, I'll be able to get through it safely. Don't be careless." Yu Meiren added, "Protect Xia Qiuyu well." "Okay," Su Yun said seriously. The Philippines was also a developing country. A newly developed industrial country was naturally one of the world's huge industrial markets. Compared to Hua Xia, the gap between the rich and the poor in the Philippines was also quite huge. Although the Philippines had experienced rapid economic growth since its independence, with the support of the United States and Japan, As long as the Philippines was willing to give Hua Xia trouble in the South China Sea region, they were willing to help the Philippines. However, the political situation in the Philippines was often unstable. There was a very simple reason, and it was the problem of corruption. The atmosphere of corruption was quite fierce. It was even worse than when Hua Xia was at its peak. Any country with corruption would inevitably have unstable factors in society. As long as the society was unstable, it would seriously hinder the country's continued development. Therefore, although the Philippines seemed to have the support of the United States and Japan, its domestic development was actually very ordinary. Most of the money was in the hands of a small number of people. In such a country, such a society, it would be strange if it wasn't chaotic. However, the people who controlled most of the money were Chinese. This caused some people in the Philippines to have ulterior motives to incite the ignorant masses. The whole world knew who was behind all this, and who was controlling everything behind the scenes. However, the leader of the Philippines was stupid and was willing to be a dog for others. From time to time, he would help others in exchange for a few pieces of leftover bones. He thought he was getting a great deal. If there was really a capable person controlling the Philippines, it wouldn't be in this situation now. Needless to say, as long as they had a good relationship with Hua Xia, there would be many benefits. Hua Xia was generous to international friends. Even when they couldn't drink the bone soup, they were willing to take the pork belly out to maintain the relationship between the neighbors. The moment Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu walked out of Aquino International Airport, they felt the chaos in the country. Although most of the people in the Philippines were believers of God, there were also Muslims and Christians. It was normal for people of different faiths to have conflicts. Towards these international friends, who looked like Chinese, the people in the Philippines had mixed feelings. Those who smiled at Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu knew in their hearts that Hua Xia people who could afford to leave the country were rich. Moreover, some people's money was not clean. They spent it like paper. They liked to earn Hua Xia's money, so they were happy. However, there were also some people who were upset when they saw Hua Xia people. They stared at them as if they wanted to eat them alive. These people were extreme anti-Chinese people. They always felt that Hua Xia people took their country's money, stole their country's islands, and plundered their country's resources. These idiots were not friendly at all. They dared to spit on the ground in front of them to express their disdain and humiliation. Of course, Su Yun tried his best to ignore these people. If he got angry with them, then he really couldn't stay in this country. There were many such people in this country. If he wanted to be in a good mood, he had to deal with more kind people. Even if this country was messed up by corruption and religion, there were still people who were kind. People in any place shouldn't be judged by the lid of a coffin. People said that the old Pao in Yenjing was righteous, but there were also despicable people. People said that there were many bad people in Hunan, but there were also countless honest and good people. People said that people in Shandong had the aura of a gangster, but there were also gentle and elegant scholars. People said that people in the Northeast were ruthless and would start a fight at the slightest disagreement, but there were also cowards who would be scared to death once they started a fight. Even Japan had good people, let alone the Philippines. Su Yun still enjoyed the opportunity to experience the local customs. He took a taxi with Xia Qiuyu and left the airport. Along the way, he chatted a lot with the taxi driver who had a good personality. The car drove less than 10 kilometers into the city. The taxi driver even recommended a few good hotels to Su Yun. He said that these hotels were invested in by some Chinese bosses. These hotels would serve the Chinese better. When Su Yun paid, he didn't even ask for change. It was really lucky to meet a kind international friend. If others were nice to him, he would naturally be nice to them. The relationship between people is mutual. Chapter 3102. The Philippines had a few special characteristics. When Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu took a taxi and checked into the hotel, the service and attitude of the locals could be seen. Everyone in the world knew that the Philippines was the oldest colony of the American Empire. In the words of the leader of the Philippines during World War II, the British Empire was only a relative of the American Empire, and the Philippines was the son of the American Empire. According to Su Yun's personal understanding, the leaders of this country believed that the Philippines was shot out by the American Empire. Therefore, most of the people here were not friendly to the Chinese faces, but to the hairy foreigners who spoke American English, they flattered them so much that it gave people goosebumps. This was especially true for this hotel that was of a decent quality. Although it was invested by a Chinese boss, the local workers in Philly still treated the American boss in the hotel with a submissive attitude. And their so-called politeness to the Chinese was obviously based on money. Because they had the concept of money first, the market economy was developed. In the Philippines, social rules were useless in the face of money. Unspoken rules prevailed in all areas of social and economic life. Money could open up all the joints. Everything could be traded with money. The kidney street in the Philippines was notorious as it was the source of kidneys for many countries. Su Yun quite liked this point. It was a very good point for him to take advantage of. Problems that could be solved with money were not problems. As long as the hotel gave generous tips, the Filipino employees would treat them as if they were gods. Even though the Philippines had inherited all the systems of the United States, including democracy, freedom, parliamentary constitution, elected president, and so on, but in the end, the women in the Philippines had to go to Hong Kong and Macau to be nannies. This was why the Filipino Mercenary Association was famous worldwide. Do you have any plans? After Xia Qiuyu and Su Yun got up and went to the room, she couldn't wait to ask this question. They knew too little. It could even be said that the Sacred Flame mercenary group hadn't even come to the Philippines yet. Yes. Su Yun smiled slightly. As long as they come to this place, everything will go smoothly for us. Where do you get your confidence from? Xia Qiuyu shook her head helplessly. To her, the unknown was a challenge that gave her a huge headache. Su Yun looked at Xia Qiuyu, full of confidence. Have you heard that the Philippines is one of the most corrupt countries in the world? The political families in this country are all famous. The current ones, the previous ones, every one of them. Where did you hear all this from? Xia Qiuyu said, Don't tell me it's just hearsay. According to the World Bank's estimates, the corruption of government employees in the Philippines swallows at least 20% of the national budget every year, Su Yun said. This is not a lie. That doesn't necessarily mean it's not made up. Xia Qiuyu said, When I was overseas, I heard the news about the Huaxia. The national budget of the Huaxia is even more terrifying. Su Yun smiled bitterly. That was true a few years ago, but it's much better now. Our great current leader has made a bold and decisive move to crack down on corruption. Treating the symptoms but not the root cause, Xia Qiuyu said. It's just the surface. That's not right. You don't trust the leader. Su Yun was very serious about this issue. Then do you dare to say that there is no corruption in the Huaxia now? Xia Qiuyu said. You don't dare to say it because you know it very well. There's a saying that goes, 3 years of knowledge is worth 100,000 snowflakes of silver. Even if the country is cracking down on corruption, I dare say that the leaders of the small counties in the country are very greedy. How much power do they have? Su Yun did not deny Xia Qiuyu's words. How long have you been back? How do you know so much about the country? I've been back to investigate the beast head for a long time. When I was investigating the truth, I lived in a small county for a month and a half, Xia Qiuyu said. Every afternoon, I like to go to a quiet bar to organize my information. There, I met someone. And then, Xia Qiuyu shrugged. He likes me and wants to pursue me. That's interesting. Let's talk. Su Yun was quickly interested. I don't feel anything. If you want to hear gossip, you've found the wrong person, Xia Qiuyu said. Su Yun did not understand. Why? You don't feel anything? I'm not interested in an ignorant, incompetent, and idle man, Xia Qiuyu said. This person is like that. Su Yun nodded. Indeed, I don't feel anything for such a person. How do you know he's idle? He works for a private company in a town. This person's sister is the secretary of the town, Xia Qiuyu said. So, even if he's ignorant, he can get a job in the county that pays a few thousand. Even if he has no ability, he won't starve to death. Su Yun knew in his heart that this was not an isolated case. Do you think an ignorant, incompetent, and unmotivated man like him can afford a 150 square meter house? Xia Qiuyu said. Clearly, his sister, who's an official, used her connections to get it. Anyone can see that. Not only did he show off his house to me, but he also said that he wants to buy a Mercedes-Benz off-road vehicle, a moose mattress, a Shiva sofa, and a massage chair that costs tens of thousands. Su Yun silently agreed. Although Hua Xia had controlled the major corruption, some minor corruption still existed. After all, many small towns were far away from the emperor, and many shady deals still existed. He was a good-for-nothing who was lucky enough to have a capable sister. His life was much more comfortable than many capable people. I don't even have the nerve to criticize him. If he had a father who's an official, he'd be even crazier, Xia Qiuyu said. And that's just because he has a sister. His sister is capable. Su Yun smiled. He said it himself. His sister divorced because his brother-in-law couldn't accept his sister being the goddaughter of a city official, Xia Qiuyu said with a look of disdain. Su Yun smiled bitterly. In the end, they went back to the issue of corruption. We were talking about the Philippines. Why did we go so far off topic? Xia Qiuyu came back to her senses and shook her head. All right, let's not talk about this. Tell me about your arrangements and plans. Su Yun didn't want to think too much about the minor corruption in the country. He quickly focused on serious matters. Because of the corruption, we have the opportunity to bribe some people with power that we can use. Because of the chaos in the country, we have the opportunity to find a group of people who are willing to follow our lead. Xia Qiuyu was stunned. Once we have the help of people from these two sides, do you think there's anything we can't solve? Su Yun smiled. We just need to spend some money, and people will send us information. This is much easier than finding people in the Philippines. Xia Qiuyu suddenly came to a realization. Su Yun's brain was really much more flexible than hers. So what we need to do now is much simpler. Su Yun, enjoy the blue sky and white clouds, enjoy the seafood here, and enjoy the cheap service here. We can't let this trip to the Philippines become meaningless. Xia Qiuyu was really stunned at this moment. Su Yun, oh Su Yun, what was he trying to do? Although she was screaming in her heart, we're not here for a vacation. However, at this moment, her heart had already been bewitched and moved by Su Yun. At this moment, what she needed the most was to relax and let Su Yun take her to completely empty herself. Only by throwing away the pressure could she better do what she needed to do. Chapter 3103. There were many Hua Xia faces in the Philippines, but those who had lived there for a long time had already assimilated. Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu rested in the hotel for a while before leaving when the sky darkened. Every country had places similar to food alleys, and the Philippines was no exception. They could easily find a taxi and reach there. Just like Hua Xia, the pedestrian streets and food alleys in the Philippines were also places where the good and the bad mixed together. In a place like this, there would always be a manager. This person might not be someone with great ability, but he or she was definitely an expert in networking and dealing with people. Otherwise, it would be impossible to control this place so easily. Su Yun's goal was very clear. He wanted to bring Xia Qiuyu to this kind of place where the good and the bad mixed together to eat. Some places in Hua Xia were already ripping off their customers, let alone the Philippines. Moreover, those who did this kind of night business did not have a comfortable life. Those who had a bit of financial foundation and could enjoy life would not have to worry about doing this kind of business. Therefore, the people here were more sensitive to the gap between the rich and the poor. Their mentality of hating the rich was more serious, especially towards the rich Chinese. Some of the locals always felt that the Hua Xia had taken over all the profitable businesses here, and that was why they had to work so hard. If it were not for the Hua Xia people, they might have a better and more relaxed life. Once this kind of conflict appeared, these people would inevitably feel a trace of hatred towards the Hua Xia tourists, and the behavior of ripping off the customers would naturally appear. What Su Yun needed was an opportunity like this, an opportunity that would allow him to make some noise. Xia Qiuyu had already experienced this with Su Yun, so she was not as nervous and worried as before. Everything happened naturally. She found a sinister bastard shop owner and acted as if she was rich and didn't care about money. She was just asking to be ripped off. Sure enough, after Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu ate, the shop owner revealed a price that was terrifying to the locals. A seafood dinner that originally only cost 600 pesos, the other party actually said that their unit price was in US dollars. 600 pesos suddenly became $600. 600 USD was close to 30,000 pesos. 50 times the customer's price. Even in Huaxia, perhaps only the prawns of Qingdao could do such a thing. Xia Qiuyu didn't feel anything at all. Su Yun smiled, knowing that the opportunity he needed had finally appeared. Do you want me to call the police, or do you want me to help you tidy up your stall? Su Yun smiled. The Philippines had been colonized for a long time, so communicating in English was not a problem. What do you mean? The Filipino was not afraid at all. This is not your territory. How dare you cause trouble here? Then I'll call the police. Su Yun said lightly, I don't believe that your country doesn't have any supervision on the behavior of ripping off tourists. Ha ha ha, sure, I'll wait for you to call the police, the Filipino man said forcefully. My relationship with the police is far beyond what you can imagine. Without another word, Su Yun flipped the table over with a slap. Because Su Yun's actions were too sudden and far beyond the other party's imagination, the other party had no chance to react at all. With a crash, the table full of things fell to the ground, and the Filipino man's face seemed to be covered in a layer of frost. He suddenly shouted in a few words in the local language, and a group of locals appeared from all directions. The Filipino people looked quite unique. Although Su Yun could not describe them, he could recognize them at a glance. As a local, the Filipino man was really ruthless. After falling out, he went all out. He raised his kitchen knives and sticks and waved them at Su Yun. Xia Qiuyu had already known about Su Yun's skills, so he was not afraid at all. He watched as Su Yun went on a killing spree and overturned the entire venue. In the blink of an eye, more than 20 people were lying on the ground. Something had happened. A Chinese person had destroyed the Filipinos' venue on their home ground. No one would be able to tolerate this, let alone the boss of this place. Pacquiao, as the local tyrant of the 18 streets, naturally wouldn't watch as someone bullied them. After hearing about this, he rushed over immediately. Pacquiao was not originally called Pacquiao. He changed his name because of his idol. The most famous athlete in the entire Philippines was a boxer. That was why he was named after Pacquiao. It was all because of the power of his idol. Pacquiao's body was covered with all kinds of tattoos, all of which were related to boxing. Although he could not bring honor to the country like their hero called Pacquiao, he was a fan of the hero. He was definitely a die-hard fan. He changed his name to Pacquiao and even flew to Korea for a few plastic surgeries. He wanted to look like Pacquiao. In fact, the underlings who really understood his purpose knew that the boss was scheming. Their boxing hero was someone who earned US dollars. He had not developed his career in the country. If he wanted to earn money, he had to go to the United States and find someone who could earn more money to fight with him. As long as the media was in place, it did not matter how boring the fight was. It was fine as long as he earned enough money. Therefore, his fake Pacquiao could do whatever he wanted in the country. Many ordinary people, who did not belong to their circle, would be stupid enough to think that he was the real Pacquiao. Of course, he was very careful about pretending to be a fake. If something happened to the real Pacquiao in the country, he would be the first to get the news and hide. This could be considered his way of survival. In his words, he was just standing on the shoulders of giants and begging for food. With the plastic surgery and the same tattoos, the fake Pacquiao really had a certain amount of influence. In addition, he also learned boxing. He could easily do the basic moves that could scare people. Just based on this, he quickly gained a foothold. He also had many followers behind him. Some people even gave him money at all costs just to be his underlings. Other than the local gangsters who listened to his command, he was also quite familiar with the police and various leaders. This allowed him to easily give the green light to many things. Basically, all the streets in the area had to listen to him. They all had to be under his command. If they wanted to make a living here, the fake Pacquiao was a mountain that they had to worship. Of course, this mountain was not for nothing. If they really ran into trouble, the fake Pacquiao would immediately stand up and help them solve it. They only had to pay some money. If the fake Pacquiao had to deal with something, the local police would never intervene. His relationship with the local police was definitely not ordinary. No one dared to not give him face. It was that simple. Because of this ability of the fake Pacquiao, the people who did business here also liked to get to know him. Everyone had the same idea. Getting to know Pacquiao was equivalent to having a super guarantee. Who cared if he was a fake? As long as he could solve their problems, provide for their food and clothing, and prevent them from being bullied by others, their monthly offerings would definitely not be small. The fake Pacquiao did this very well. He never forced the people who made a living here. As long as they were willing to fork out 1/3 of their profits every month, he would take care of them. But if they did not have eyes and did not make offerings, or if they earned a lot but only gave him a pitiful amount, he would let them know the price of not knowing how to be a human being. In his eyes, benefits were mutual. Everyone making money was the real deal, not one person making money. That was not a long-term solution. Chapter 3104. When the knockoff Pacquiao appeared, the attitude of the Filipinos became obviously more arrogant. They started shouting at the top of their lungs and said a bunch of things. The general meaning was very simple. They were saying that Su Yun was too arrogant. As a Chinese, he did not pay for his meal and still wanted to destroy his place. He had suffered too much. If no one stood up for him, his business would not be able to continue in the future. The knockoff Pacquiao was a particular person. Since he had received protection money from others, he would definitely help solve the problem. Although many people had been thrown to the ground by Su Yun, the men brought by the knockoff Pacquiao still surrounded Su Yun without fear. From their conversation, Su Yun also heard this funny thing. "What's your name?" "Pacquiao." "Haha. Do you really think you're a boxing champion just because you look a little like him? Are you Pacquiao or am I Mayweather?" "No, I don't want to be that funny guy who likes to flaunt his wealth." The knockoff Pacquiao heard the contempt in Su Yun's tone. This was a provocation to his prestige. Especially when Su Yun used Mayweather to joke with him. This bastard who liked to flaunt his wealth relied on his identity as an American to beat their hero Pacquiao in the fight of the century. This made the knockoff Pacquiao completely unable to control his emotions. He ordered his men to take Su Yun down. Su Yun did not resist this time. He allowed the other party to control him. Poor Xia Qiuyu was also unlucky. His hands were tied behind his back. "Take him away." The knockoff Pacquiao sneered. "I'm going to have fun with him tonight." Su Yun just grinned. He should be the one saying that. Xia Qiuyu shook his head helplessly and glanced at Su Yun. "How confident are you? You should know that this is their territory. Now that we've been taken away by them, it'll be really depressing." "Don't worry." Su Yun smiled. "I'll let them massage your legs and wash your feet in a while." "Forget it, I don't have the hobby of training slaves." Xia Qiuyu hurriedly shook her head. "You should think of a way to make them release me as soon as possible. I hate the feeling of being controlled the most." Because they were all speaking in Mandarin, the fake Pacquiao and the others couldn't understand at all. "From now on, you'd better shut your mouths. If I hear you two talking again, I'll cut off your tongues." The knockoff Pacquiao turned around and glared at them. Su Yun looked nervous. "I'm so scared. Don't treat me like this. I'm really scared. Don't provoke him any more." Xia Qiuyu was speechless. If they really angered this fake Pacquiao, it wouldn't do them any good. Although she didn't know what Su Yun was up to, judging from the current situation, their situation wasn't good at all. Although there were so many people here, Everyone was just here to watch the show. No one would help them. Besides, Su-yun knew very well how corrupt this place was. Even if the other party killed 2 Chinese, it wouldn't be a big deal. After paying some money to the police, the matter would be settled. The other party was completely unscrupulous. There was nothing to be afraid of or worried about. Okay, let's not talk about it anymore. When we get to his place, we'll deal with him slowly. After Su-yun finished speaking, someone grabbed him by the back of his neck and threw him directly into a business car. Then, Xia Qiuyu was pushed in as well. After the 2 of them were pushed into the car, 2 other Filipinos also got in. The fake Pacquiao didn't get into this car. He got into the Mercedes-Benz in front. Although it looked like a model from 10 years ago, a Mercedes-Benz was still a Mercedes-Benz. Dongfeng Fengxing S500. This car is not bad. It's sold to Southeast Asia. Su-yun smiled and said to the Filipino guy beside him, "How much does this car sell for here?" In Huaxia, the top model is only 99,000. Isn't it a lot more expensive here? The Filipino guy didn't seem to know anything about cars. He ignored Su-yun and pressed him down with his hand. It seemed like he didn't want Su-yun to speak. "Let me tell you, if this car is expensive in your country, it's not our fault. It's your government's fault. The taxes are high. It's a scam." Su-yun continued to talk nonsense. "Shut up." The guy in the front passenger seat couldn't take it anymore and turned around to scold him. Su-yun saw that the guy was so boring and took the initiative to talk to him. "How much does your boss pay you a day?" "That's not something you need to know." Ah-san shut his mouth. The guy in the front passenger seat couldn't stand Su-yun anymore. Before the Filipino guy called Ah-san could do anything, Su-yun spoke again. "If I give you more pesos and let you be the boss, will you still let your men shut my mouth?" "Ah-san, do it." The guy in the front passenger seat was unmoved. This was the copycat Pacquiao's deputy and the second brother of the gang. Although he wasn't loyal to the copycat Pacquiao, he was willing to risk his life for him because the copycat Pacquiao had given him a better life. 10,000 pesos a day. I'll let you be the boss and you'll work for me. Su-yun smiled and continued, "As long as you can control all the shops here, your underlings' expenses will be enough. Your income will also be much higher. I'll give you 10,000 pesos a day as a token of my appreciation. As long as I'm in the Philippines, I'll give you that every day." The guy in the front passenger seat suddenly fell silent. The guy called Ah-san was also stunned. 10,000 pesos a day. Was this a joke? In the Philippines, the average factory worker salary was around 200 to 300 pesos a day. They could only earn 10,000 pesos a month. If it was 10,000 a day, it would be 300,000 pesos a month. What did 300,000 pesos mean? In the Philippines, 8,000 pesos a month could find a maid who knew some English. If you were willing to pay 30,000 pesos, you could find a beautiful maid. If you were willing to pay 100,000 pesos, you could find a beautiful maid who would not only work for you but also sleep with you. This was definitely a super high income. Moreover, if he could become the boss and control the entire district, it wouldn't be 300,000 pesos a month. He could even earn 1,000,000 pesos a month. After all, there were so many shops that had to offer. At this moment, it would be a lie to say that the second in command wasn't tempted. "I'm not joking," Su-yun said. "As long as you're willing, I'll pay you now." The guy in the front passenger seat turned around and gave Ah-san a look. Without saying anything, Ah-san took out all the cash Su-yun had on him. Su-yun didn't have any notes on him. They were all in a thick stack of 1,000 pesos. "This is a small matter. You can have fun with it. I'll give you and your brothers in the car." Su-yun said lightly, "Everyone is tired after a hard day. Let's find a place to let the 2 girls relax." The eyes of the Filipinos lit up. "This money isn't my promise to you." Su-yun continued, "As long as you're willing, this is nothing." Xia Qiuyu was full of admiration at this moment. With just a few words and a little money, the Filipinos in the car were about to betray him. I know that your life isn't easy. But I believe that your boss's life must be very good. Su-yun said, the gap between you is huge. None of you can deny this. What I want to do is to help you enjoy the life that your boss can enjoy. It's that simple. Really? The guy in the front passenger seat finally relented. Although his voice was low, it couldn't hide the ambition in his heart. Of course it's true. Su-yun smiled. I'll prove it to you later. However, if I need your help, you really can't be soft-hearted. If you want to be the boss, you have to be able to control it. Chapter 3105. There was a reason why Su Yun-hui said this. He saw the bulge at the back of the other party's waist. Needless to say, everyone knew what was stuffed inside. Anyone who had watched crime movies would know that in a small gang, the boss would not carry a gun. After all, the boss was the target. If someone wanted to kill him, catching him with a gun would be evidence of a crime. Therefore, dangerous goods like guns would usually be carried by the boss of the gang. Of course, this was the case in countries with strict gun control. The Philippines was obviously not a country with strict gun control. Anyone who had been to the streets here could really feel that guns were rampant in the Philippines. If it were not for the fact that most of the people here were relatively gentle, Social Security would have exploded long ago. However, everyone knew very well that the news of Hong Kong and Macau tourists being robbed in the Philippines was not small. Moreover, it happened during this sensitive period of the South China Sea issue. This kind of impact was bad. The legal gun control system in the Philippines was even more sensitive. This feeling made Xia Qiuyu feel more reasonable because it was her first time here. This place gave her the most straightforward feeling. The Philippines was a country where guns were legal. When Xia Qiuyu first arrived in the Philippines, she felt a sense of terror because even the security guards in some residential areas and hotels were armed with submachine guns. Supermarkets, highway toll booths, banks, and other places were everywhere. Armed security guards could be seen everywhere. Moreover, the security uniforms in this country were very varied and not uniform. Some looked like police but were actually security guards. On the streets of the Philippines, there were not many police officers. It could be said that there were very few of them. Most of the people walking around with guns on the streets were security guards. All of this, in Xia Qiuyu's eyes, did indeed give her the feeling of having lived a long time. Even though most people in the Philippines were relatively gentle and did not like to fight. However, once the gun control was not so strict, it was still a challenge to Social Security. Try to imagine the backward urban construction, the old and dirty streets, and the chaotic people holding guns everywhere. Would there be any sense of security? It could be said that there was really no sense of security. Unless one lived here for a long time, perhaps they would get used to it and accidentally discover that, oh, there are usually no fights on the streets here. Only then would they start to feel that the security of the Philippines might not be that bad. Otherwise, just by looking at the things in front of them, no one would think that this was a country with good security. Of course, the public security in the Philippines was only good during the day. There were many robberies at night, especially those targeting the Chinese. Let's put it this way. If you were to travel to Philu country, you would be lucky if you weren't robbed. If you were, you could only blame yourself for going out at night. From the fact that this person was carrying a gun, Su-yun could judge that this gang must have a lot of guns in their hands. Dealing with them was different from dealing with domestic gun owners. As long as they had documents, it was legal. Although their documents might not be real, Su-yun was a foreigner, and had no place to reason with them. At this time, Su-yun especially needed to rope in a few people who were willing to draw their guns for him. This was a very crucial point. Of course, if no one was willing to draw their guns for Su-yun could also jump out and kill everyone. He could fight alone and finally get rid of everyone. But this was not the result Su-yun wanted. Su-yun didn't come out to find the local gangsters in the Philippines to fight. He needed this group of people to do things for him. He needed this group of people to help him find the whereabouts of the Sacred Flame mercenary group after they arrived. The people of the Sacred Flame mercenary group were not useless. The Dragon Brigade had arranged people to track their whereabouts. Once they found a place to settle down, they would definitely retaliate. Furthermore, the two Special Forces members arranged by the Divine Dragon Brigade were young and inexperienced. This was quite dangerous for them. If it wasn't for Su Yun taking care of this matter, Wan Guangxiao would have withdrawn his people long ago. The reason was simple. Wan Guangxiao was not afraid that something would happen to them. Even if something happened to them, he believed that Su Yun had the ability to solve the problem. Now, Su Yun already had his own judgment on this matter. The first thing the Sacred Flame mercenary group would do when they entered the Philippines was to take action against the people who followed them. In the Philippines, the relationship between the two countries was a bit awkward. Even if they took action, Hua Xia could not arrange for enough people to investigate. Once Hua Xia did so, they could also obstruct it through the Philippine authorities. Under these circumstances, the Philippines would definitely think that Hua Xia arranged for people to be spies. They would definitely not think that Hua Xia arranged for people to come here to help them. Su Yun was 100% sure of this. This was the Sacred Flame mercenary group's plan. Only such a plan could allow them to perfectly avoid trouble. Only such a plan could allow them to relax. Having the beast head was like having a huge invisible fortune. The Sacred Flame mercenary group knew very well that even if Lai Wen did not have a chance to redeem it, it was still a treasure that could be sold for a good price. Therefore, they would do their best to shake off Hua Xia's pursuit. Little did they know that Su Yun had already arrived in the Philippines and was waiting for them. The car was bumpy all the way. The people in the car did not speak. Everyone had their own thoughts and plans. After some time, the car started to slow down. Second brother, in the front passenger seat, finally spoke. "Did you bring your guns?" "Yes." Second brother took a deep breath. "Listen to my orders later." "Yes." The people in the car were all second brother's direct subordinates. Although they seemed to be following the fake Pacquiao around, they were actually second brother's blood brothers. These people were far more loyal to second brother than the fake Pacquiao. This was because every penny they received was fought for by their second brother. The knockoff Pacquiao would only complain that they didn't do enough work, but he received a lot of money. He would never put himself in their shoes and think for them. It wasn't easy for them either. There was no one who didn't love money. Even loyalty was built on the foundation of money. Now that her second brother had spoken, Su Yun's heart was relieved. There would definitely be a good show to watch tonight. Second brother and his underlings took Su Yun's money. They had to help Su Yun get rid of the disaster. Moreover, while helping Su Yun get rid of the disaster, it was also the best time for him to rise to the top. As long as he could win the top position, the fake Pacquiao would be nothing in his eyes. In the future, the entire area would have to listen to his arrangements and orders. No matter who it was, they would have to listen to his arrangements if they wanted to get money. What kind of concept was that? He would no longer be second brother, but the boss. "Brother, a wise man submits to circumstances." Su Yun smiled. "I knew you were someone who knew how to deal with things. I don't know what you mean by a wise man submits to circumstances, but I'm telling you, don't think that you can control what I do." Second brother sneered. "What I'm going to do is something I've wanted to do for a long time. You're just lucky that you got it at the right time." "Fine, I don't care what you say. I don't care if I'm lucky or the right time. As long as it's good, anything is fine," Su Yun said. Suddenly, the car stopped with a clang. The dozen cars drove to a deserted area. Outside the car windows, there were only old containers. It looked especially desolate. It was definitely a good place to kill someone in the dark of night. When Xia Qiuyu looked out the window, she could not help but panic. Chapter 3106. After the car came to a complete stop, second brother, who was sitting in the front passenger seat, was the first to open the door and jump out. India and another person brought Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu down. At this time, second brother was already in front of the fake Pacquiao. Su Yun looked around. This was really a good place. It was overgrown with weeds, an abandoned harbor, and a chilly sea breeze blew past. A fishing boat swayed on the surface of the sea, making people dizzy. This was a good place. It was definitely suitable for killing people and corpse running. Just get on the boat and leave. How simple would that be? Big brother, shall we do it? Second brother walked in front of the fake Pacquiao and asked in a low voice. The fake Pacquiao ignored him and walked straight to Su Yun, his cold gaze sweeping over Xiaoqiu. Kid, do you know what the most painful thing in life is? The fake Pacquiao said to Su Yun, I'm going to let you have a good taste of it today. Su Yun scratched his head. The most painful thing in life. It's definitely not when the person dies and the money is not used up, but when the money is used up and the person is not dead. Am I right? I watch the Spring Festival Gala every year. It doesn't matter if you're riding a monkey or 7 monkeys, I know it better than you. The fake Pacquiao had no idea what Su Yun was talking about. You don't know what the most painful thing in life is? Looks like you really haven't suffered before. You're challenging my knowledge as a top student. Su Yun really didn't take the fake Pacquiao seriously. Okay, then I'll answer your question seriously. The knockoff Pacquiao thought that Su Yun was being serious, so he pricked up his ears to listen. Who would have thought that Su Yun would say something like this? There are too many painful things in life. For example, a drop of rain after a long drought, meeting an old friend in a foreign land, a creditor, a candlelight night in the bridal chamber, next door, a repeat of the same name. Every one of them can be extremely painful. The fake Pacquiao's expression changed. He didn't expect Su Yun to joke like that even at death's door. Men. Wait. Let me explain and answer the questions properly. Su Yun hurriedly waved his hand. Pee in one's shoes, drink soup in one's crotch, shit in one's pants, shit in one's pants. Isn't that painful enough? Both of them can make you unable to raise your head for the rest of your life. The knockoff Pacquiao turned around and glared. 7 or 8 of his men pulled out the pistols they had stuffed at the back of their waists. Xiaoqiu couldn't remain calm. After all, this wasn't their country. Anything could happen in Southeast Asia where law and order were a mess. To Su Yun's relief, his second brother wasn't among them. The black market in the Philippines was overflowing with guns. If anyone wanted to get a gun here, it would be too easy. Moreover, the law of Philippines allowed private ownership of firearms. After the proliferation of guns, the crime rate increased, and some people even used guns as an ornament to show off their power. This weird country was learning everything from the United States, including this. The gap between the rich and the poor in the United States was far smaller than in the Philippines. Although there was a gap between the rich and the poor in the United States was a paradise for the poor. This was their country. Although guns were rampant, the social security and deterrence of other countries that ban guns were also the same. In the United States, if you didn't have a job, you could apply for medical aid. No matter how much savings you had, whether you had a house or not, whether you had a green card or a citizen, the hospital would treat you unconditionally. Could the Philippines do the same? No way. Society's hatred was too high. In a country that robbed the rich to give to the poor, society's hatred was also very low. Low-income families in the United States were subsidized. A few $100s a month was more than enough for food. What about the Philippines? Working hard to earn a few $100s? As for housing, one could buy a house in the United States with a down payment of 3%. Not to mention the Philippines, even in Huaxia, if you didn't have a 30% down payment, you wouldn't be able to buy a house. The interest rate of commercial housing loans in the United States was even lower than Huaxia's Provident Fund loans. People in Huaxia didn't even dare to think about such a good thing, let alone people in the Philippines. Now you know why the banks in Huaxia were the most profitable companies in the world. Many things led to the low social hatred in the United States, and this social hatred was very obvious in developing China. Take the current state of the Philippines for example. There were no corrupt officials. The people were living in an abyss of suffering. Many families had to go to Hong Kong and Macau to be servants because they couldn't survive. They took a pitiful salary and did the most menial jobs. Many people dreamed of living in the British royal house, taking a salary from the United States, marrying a woman from Korea, finding a mistress from Japan, playing with a lady from Russia, driving a car from Germany, drinking red wine from France, hiring maids from the Philippines. What were other countries famous for, but the Philippines was famous for its maids? How much social hatred was this? This stupid leader actually allowed private ownership of guns. This was simply wishing for the world to be in chaos. Facing so many guns, Su Yun didn't panic. This was also seen by Old Tu. Old Tu now admired Su Yun even more. "Big brother, this kid is very rich," Old Tu suddenly said. These words were actually meant for Su Yun. When number 2 said this, all of the brothers who had their fingers on the trigger loosened their grip. Rich people. If they couldn't get some money out of him, wouldn't they be letting themselves down? Rich people. The knockoff Pacquiao frowned and said coldly, "How much money?" Old Tu took out all the money he got from Su Yun. Quite a lot. Seeing the thick stack of cash, all of which were thousands of pesos, the knockoff Pacquiao was tempted. Those who carried so much cash with them were usually the nouveau riche type of creatures in China. This was common knowledge that all Filipinos knew. The Chinese nouveau riche liked to spend cash in large amounts. It gave people a feeling that this kind of cash was simply picked up from the ground and not earned through hard work. When Old Tu took out the money, Xia Qiuyu was a little nervous. She was worried that the other party would betray them. Now, everything seemed to be very problematic. Su Yun didn't feel like he had the initiative at all. But Su Yun's expression didn't show any signs of worry. It was as if nothing had happened. He enjoyed this kind of thing happening. It seemed that if all this didn't happen, his plan would be harder to achieve. "How much money do you have?" The knockoff Pacquiao looked at Su Yun. Su Yun smiled slightly. "How many guns do you have?" "You don't have the capital to negotiate with me, do you?" The knockoff Pacquiao sneered. When Su Yun asked how many guns the knockoff Pacquiao had, Old Tu's expression changed. He was a little worried. He was worried about Su Yun's inclination to cooperate. If the boss was willing to cooperate with Su Yun now, knowing that Su Yun had money and that Su Yun could give him money, no one would be stupid enough to not take the money. Money was everyone's pursuit. As long as Su Yun explained his intentions and that he had money, the boss would definitely cooperate. If that was the case, he wouldn't know. This was what Old Tu was most worried about. "If you have something to say, just say it to me." Old Tu took a step forward and said to Su Yun, "Our boss doesn't have time to listen to you waste time here. Maybe if I talk more, he'll be interested." Su Yun saw Old Tu's nervousness and smiled slightly. Old Tu's eyes widened. "Opportunities are given to those who are prepared," Su Yun said again. "Those who aren't prepared will never be able to seize the opportunity. Seize the opportunity. Seize the last opportunity. Only then can you succeed." It was such an obvious reminder. Even an idiot could understand it. The knockoff Pacquiao seemed to have realized that something was wrong. He raised his head and looked at Old Tu suspiciously. Chapter 31:07. Second brother's reaction was really quick. He suddenly pulled out the pistol that had been tucked behind his back. Other than the knockoff Pacquiao, the others would never believe that second brother would betray them even if they saw him pull out a gun. No one would have thought that second brother's target was actually their big brother. In the blink of an eye, second brother had already strangled the knockoff Pacquiao in his hand. The pistol in his hand was directly pressed against the knockoff Pacquiao's cheek. "All of you, throw away your guns. Everyone." Second brother's roar stupefied everyone. The knockoff Pacquiao was being controlled by the second brother that he had personally promoted. At that moment, his heart was not as simple as 1,000 alpacas running through it. Seeing second brother's actions, second brother's underlings also pulled out their pistols and surrounded second brother. They were second brother's brothers. Even if second brother wanted to rebel, they would definitely rebel with him without any hesitation. In an instant, the Filipinos were in complete chaos. They all had guns. This was not surprising. After all, this was the Philippines, not Hua Xia. Hua Xia's gun control was already so strict. There were still many illegal guns in society, let alone in the Philippines. Therefore, it was not an exaggeration at all that the gangsters present could pull out their pistols. It was also not surprising at all. It was the same in the Philippines. Those who thought this was nonsense obviously did not really understand the country. At least, they did not understand the living conditions of the country's bottom rung. In Dana, Cebu City, the Philippines, there was a place called Marshall City. As everyone knew, Dana was the world's largest handmade gun workshop. It had always been a cooperative that handmade guns and weapons were produced by hand. For more than a century, the people living in Dana made their living by producing weapons. If they could not rely on this skill to make a living, there was no other way for them to survive. In Dana, everyone knew how to use the simplest tools to make a variety of pistols, even revolvers and submachine guns. Although the Dana authorities had established a cooperative with the local craftsmen to legalize the production of handmade weapons and prevent the craftsmen from colluding with the local mafia, the results were not good. According to the official statistics of the Philippines, there were as many as millions of unregistered guns in the country. It was far more than the total number of guns held by the military and police combined. The proliferation of illegal weapons had long posed a great threat to the security of the Philippines. The head of the police in Philippines had said that most of the unregistered guns were owned by politicians and businessmen. Apart from that, the Abu Sayyaf organization and other illegal armed forces and criminal groups in the southern part of the Philippines also possessed tens of thousands of firearms, most of which were prohibited by law in the Philippines. In a corrupt country, the words of this kind of leader and the official statistics were naturally exaggerated. Therefore, the number of unregistered guns in the Philippines was definitely more than 1 million, and the illegal armed forces and criminal groups definitely had more than a few tens of thousands of guns. There were at least a few 100,000 guns. If one knew that the Philippines was one of the top 10 countries in the world with the highest gun crime rate, no one would be surprised that a group of street thugs would carry a pistol with them. A large number of illegal guns had long become the main obstacle for the Philippine police to crack down on criminal activities. People who knew about the election year in the Philippines also knew that according to normal experience, political assassinations and other violent incidents before the election were all related to guns. Even the United States could not avoid this kind of thing, so the Philippines certainly could not control and avoid it. Perhaps this was to make it easier for the political families in the Philippines to get rid of their opponents, so the law allowed private ownership of guns. Of course, such a dark idea was probably impossible. The police in the entire Philippines would not enforce the gun ban on the grounds of maintaining law and order. Therefore, it was normal for local thugs to carry guns in the Philippines. Moreover, the way the Philippines produced weapons by hand was very unique and strange. Not only did they produce handmade 38 caliber and 45 caliber guns, but they could even copy the famous automatic rifles such as the AR-15 and M16. The people in the Philippines really had a special talent for guns. Seeing that his own people were about to fight, the knockoff Pacquiao certainly would not sit back and do nothing. With so many guns, if there was a fight, something would definitely happen. The knockoff Pacquiao used to be a person who was not afraid of death, but as he became rich, he began to become timid. His courage was getting smaller and smaller, and it was getting worse every year. Now, the knockoff Pacquiao's value for his life was self-evident. Everyone knew that, and second brother knew it even better. "Lamor, what are you doing?" The knockoff Pacquiao's expression was ugly. "Are you rebelling in front of so many brothers?" "Boss, don't blame me." Lamor's expression was gloomy. "I've been with you for so many years. What kind of life have I been living? My brothers have all seen it." The knockoff Pacquiao was obviously angry, but normal people would not dare to speak when faced with the threat of a gun. "I know you have complaints, but let me tell you, I've never treated you badly." Chapter 3108. Lamor. If there's anything you're not satisfied with, you can say it. I'll satisfy you. There's no need to be like this. The knockoff Pacquiao roared. "You're making it very difficult for me." Lamore was unmoved. "There are too many things I'm not satisfied with. Let the brothers see for themselves." "What car are you driving?" "It's a German Mercedes-Benz." "What about mine?" "It's a Dongfeng produced by Hua Xia. Although mine looks bigger, there's a world of difference in value." The knockoff Pacquiao quickly said, "I can give you a Mercedes-Benz. I can give you any Mercedes-Benz you want. You live in a seaside condominium with 3 floors. There's a swimming pool, a home theater, and all kinds of luxurious facilities." Lamore continued, "What do I have? I'm still living in an old house in the slums. Of all the brothers here, has any one of you moved out of the slums?" These words were in everyone's hearts. If the knockoff Pacquiao didn't live in such an extravagant house, they could endure living in an old house in the slums. But as the boss, he lived in a seaside villa that occupied several acres of land. His brothers actually had to return to the slums every night to live like the slums. In fact, they were poor to begin with. The knockoff Pacquiao gave them a pitiful amount of money every month. Although they had food to eat and drink on a daily basis, it wasn't anything high class. It was just to fill their stomachs. And they had to work every month to get money. If they didn't work, they really had to starve and didn't get a single cent. It was worse than working in factories. Even if they did work, if it wasn't dangerous work that put their lives on the line, the money they could get was pitifully little. If he wanted to make more money, there were only a few ways. Gambling, drugs, and pornography were all in the hands of the copycat Pacquiao. He would only cooperate with those in power when it came to making money. Even if he got the benefits, he would only share it with those in power. As his brothers, they just ran errands and didn't get any benefits at all. For example, the business of transporting poison was a profitable business with little capital. The money that his brothers who helped him deliver the goods was pitifully little. It was no different from the money that an ordinary truck driver could get. That was why the knockoff Pacquiao was unpopular. Many of the brothers present even felt a trace of understanding towards Lamore's actions today. This was a very scary thing, and it was what the copycat Pacquiao was most worried about. "Money, in the end, everything you said was because of money." "I'll give you money." The knockoff Pacquiao said, "How much money do you want?" "I'll give it to you." Lamore shook his head. "Now that things have come to this, it's no longer a matter of money. Boss, you've already disappointed our brothers." At this moment, Pacquiao felt real fear. He realized that the problem could no longer be solved with money. Lamore didn't just want money, he wanted the power in his hands. As long as Lamore had the right, he could do whatever he wanted to do by himself. "Lamore, don't do anything stupid." The knockoff Pacquiao was already panicking. He knew his brothers too well. Lamore was a desperado. He was the kind of person who would do anything to achieve his goals. This kind of person was a double-edged sword. When he could be used, he was a sharp weapon to attack a city. If this kind of person couldn't be used, he would be a terrifying threat. The knockoff Pacquiao had never been as worried as he was today. The moment Lamore's ambition was revealed, he knew that he was in the biggest trouble of his life. "All this time, I've worked hard for you. Now, I don't want to do that anymore." Lamore said, "I believe that I can do whatever you can do, but I'm different from you. I can lead my brothers to live a better life." With that, Lamore threw all the money he got from Su Yun into the sky. Thousands of dollars flew all over the sky. At this moment, the underlings who were still living in the slums couldn't care about anything else. Every 1,000 pesos could allow their families to live a good life for a week. This was the temptation. They worked under the boss every day. There were very few people who could get more than 30,000 pesos a month. It was very pitiful. 30,000 pesos was only about 4,000 yuan. Those who could get this amount had to exchange their lives for it. If they were not careful, they could lose their lives. This was the most terrifying thing. While everyone was picking up the money, Lamore made the most important decision in his life. He believed that this was the turning point of his life. As long as he took this step, everything here would be under his control in the future. Lamor strangled the boss's neck with all his might. The boss's face turned the color of pig liver. He never thought that Lamor would use this method to deal with him. All the brothers were picking up the money. No one looked up to see what was happening. Everyone, including Hindustani, only had a few pesos on the ground. This was enough to make them go crazy. Xia Chuyu couldn't help but sigh. The people here really hadn't seen money before. The knockoff Pacquiao struggled with all his might. He desperately wanted to scream, hoping that his brothers could find him and save him. But at this moment, everyone only had money in their eyes. Money was the most powerful thing. At this moment, the knockoff Pacquiao suddenly understood that his most precious thing was not money, but his underlings. If he could let the group of brothers under him live a happy life like him, they wouldn't have ended up like this today. No one raised their head for him. No one was worried about whether his life would be threatened by Lamor. Just like that, for a full 2 minutes, everyone was immersed in the process of picking up the money. Just like that, all the money that Lamor spilled were all picked up by his underlings. Su Yun knew that he didn't misjudge people. A person who was willing to throw money out at the beginning was a person who could achieve great things. The reason why some people could succeed and why others couldn't was very simple. It was EQ. EQ determined everything. Lamor was able to throw the money away before he received any support. Everyone who picked up the money had taken his things. If he wanted to rise up, these people would be short-handed. No one would stand out to stop him. When the last bill was picked up by Hindustani, their boss, the knockoff Pacquiao, had completely stopped breathing. Lamor let go of his hand. The knockoff Pacquiao's body slowly lay down. Finally, it made a muffled sound. Everything was over. Lamor personally sent him away. From now on, everything here belonged to him. From now on, he was the boss here. If anyone can't stand what I did today, you can stand up and scold me now, Lamor said calmly. As long as you think I did something wrong, you can say it. The money was already taken. Who would stand up and say anything? That would be too unkind. Since there's no one, I want to say something. Lamor continued. I, Lamor, stand here today and promise all my brothers. As long as I, Lamor, have food to eat, I will let my brothers have food to eat. If I, Lamor, have a Mercedes-Benz, my brothers have a BMW to drive. I'm definitely not like him. I will treat everyone equally. I will never enjoy myself. These words were too exciting. Who cared if what he said was true or not? At this time, it was necessary to win people's hearts. Lamor, boss. Lamor, boss. Hindustani was the first to take the lead and shout. Soon, everyone followed. Chapter 3109. Excitement and agitation could easily affect everyone's heart. Everyone seemed to have been injected with chicken blood. Roaring sounds could be heard everywhere. Everything at the scene became chaotic. Suddenly, someone shouted, "What do we do with these two people?" "Boss, when are we going to take care of these two people?" "Untie them." Lamor shouted to his men, "This person is not our enemy, he is our god of wealth." God of fortune, this was such a sensitive term. When Lamor's subordinates heard the name, all of them seemed to stop breathing. Every Hua Xia person was a god of wealth to them. Lamor's words had a special meaning to them. All of them had the same thought. Kidnapping, yes, kidnapping. As long as they kidnapped them, it would be a huge sum of money. The Filipinos' idea was simple because they had treated Hua Xia tourists like this before. Everyone had heard of the previous incident. Within a month or so, 2 Hua Xia tourists had been kidnapped by the Filipino kidnappers. One of the tourists was a Shenzhen girl in her 20s, and the other was a local worker in his 30s from Guangzhen. Not long ago, the Philippines had publicly apologized for the kidnapping of Hong Kong and Macau tourists. Why did the Filipino kidnappers keep kidnapping hostages? This had to do with the kidnapping culture of the Philippines. It was a culture that had been around for a long time. Kidnapping had even become a special industry in the Philippines. The Philippine government, parliament, and even their citizens were insensitive to it. Fortune magazine once gave the Philippines a super rating of the kidnapping capital of the world. At this moment, the gangsters facing Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu knew very well that even if they kidnapped these two people, the Filipino government would not let them off. The leaders of the Philippines would also publicly state that according to their investigation, the abduction was most likely the work of the Abu Sayyaf rebels. Slandering someone was a piece of cake for them in the corrupt political world. It was too easy. Boss, are these two people worth a lot of money? Some people had already changed their words. They hoped that following their new boss would allow them to live a good life and have a new life. As long as it was something that could earn them money, they would definitely not miss the opportunity. Lamour smiled and looked at Su Yun. He once again signaled for his subordinates to untie Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu. I think there's definitely a chance for us to work together. Lamour smiled at Su Yun. Don't you think so? That's right, there is indeed a chance for us to work together. Su Yun nodded. And this cooperation opportunity can make you a lot of money. As long as we can discuss this matter now, I can immediately give all your brothers 100,000 pesos each. 100,000 pesos. This was a sum of money that most of the people present had never had in their entire lives. Although this was nothing to the rich people in the Philippines, it was definitely not a small sum for these punks who lived at the bottom of society. It could be said that their previous boss only cared about making money for himself and did not take care of them at all, which led to their current poverty. I want to ask, who else wants to make a move on the God of Fortune? Lamour smiled and looked around. Everyone's head nodded like a rattle drum, and they were all a little crazy. Well, you clean everything here for me today, and come to me tomorrow morning to get the money. After Lamour finished speaking, he walked confidently to the Mercedes-Benz. Everything of the previous boss was his from today onwards. Not only his car, but also his house, and his women, all of them would become his. Except for those money-making businesses that he had never been involved in, everything before would belong to him. Now he needed to earn the first sum of money from Su Yun and use this money to buy the hearts of all his brothers. This way, he could easily settle things. Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu followed Lamour into the Mercedes-Benz. Lamour signaled Ah San to be his driver and drove directly to the dead man's house. The rest of the brothers stayed behind to sail the boat to sink the corpse at sea. This was their usual method. They would sink the corpse in the same place every time because they would put fishing nets in this place. Places with corpses would always attract a lot of sea fish to get into the fishing nets. In addition to solving the problem of corpses, they could also harvest a lot of seafood. These seafood were the rewards for the sinking of corpses. This was a rule that had been in place for a long time. Everyone here was very clear about this rule. The car drove all the way to the fake Pacquiao's seaside villa. Lamour's mood was extremely excited and surging along the way. You said you would give each of my brothers 100,000 pesos. Are you kidding? Lamour looked at the scenery outside the window and said to Su Yun. Su Yun nodded. This is my promise. If you don't believe me, we will go to the bank tomorrow morning to exchange pesos. Although I am not a rich man, I still have $1 million of pocket money. $1 million could be exchanged for 50 million pesos. This was a very easy problem to solve. After all, there were less than 50 core brothers in their circle. 5 million pesos was enough to deal with them. Of course I believe you. Lamour smiled slightly. I helped you today. You must have something you want me to solve. There must be cooperation between us. Name a price. If I help you, how much can you give me? Aren't you going to ask me what I want you to do? Su Yun smiled slightly. He now appreciated people like Lamour more and more. It was pleasant and relaxing to work with such people. I don't have to ask, Lamour said. Lamour said, You're such a courageous person. If you think I can do it, then I'll definitely do it. So you just need to give me a price. If I think it's appropriate, then I'll do it. Su Yun laughed and bluntly exposed Lamour's thoughts. You've just been promoted, so you need to have things to do. You need to make money for your brothers, so no matter what, you'll do it. I don't even need to give you a particularly high price. Lamour was silent for a while and did not speak. He could not deny what Su Yun said. For him, Su Yun was not wrong at all. He did need Su Yun to help him solve the problem of making money. He needed to make his first bucket of gold. Only then could his brothers feel hope. Only then could his brothers believe that there was meat to eat if they followed him, and there was nothing to eat if they did not follow him. Su Yun saw that Lamour did not speak, so he did not speak either. I admit that this matter is very important to me. Lamour still could not hold it in. But if you give me a price that even I am not interested in, I will definitely not help you. $1 million. Su Yun, US dollars. This was a lot for Lamour. Before today, he did not even have 1 million pesos. Now, he only needed to solve the problem Su Yun was facing. That was $1 million. What do you want me to do? Lamour did not hesitate, saying this was equivalent to agreeing to this matter. It's a very simple matter. Su Yun, I need someone to watch the appearance of some people at the airport 24 hours a day. Once these people appear, I need someone to follow them and find their stronghold. Lamour frowned. What else? That's it. I don't need anything else. Su Yun, I need all your brothers to put their minds on this matter. There cannot be any mistakes. Lamour nodded. Okay, I promise you. Chapter 31:10. Arsène had already driven the car to the seaside villa. When he saw the villa, Lamour's mood was inexplicably excited again. Don't tell me you've even taken over his house? Su Yun smiled bitterly. This seems to be a bit too much. There is a saying that you shouldn't bring trouble to your family. He doesn't have a family. He only has a pair of women, Lamour said. For these women, as long as they are raised by a rich person, it doesn't matter who the other party is. It's not too much for me to take over everything. Xia Qiuyu wanted to scold him for his disgusting and shameful behavior, but she was stopped by Su Yun. Two women could serve a man at the same time. What was there to talk about? No matter what the reason was, this kind of woman had no dignity and self-love. So for them, it didn't matter whether the person they served was the previous knockoff boxing champion or the current Lamour. Arsène stopped the car, and Lamour rushed directly to the door of the villa. It was obvious that he couldn't wait. At this time, the maid opened the door and was shocked to see Lamour. But before the maid could react, Lamour broke in directly. This place belongs to me from now on. Every penny you can get will be given to you by me. From now on, I am the owner of this room. Do you understand? Lamour's first sentence was this. The maid nodded in horror. Although she didn't know what had happened, she could already guess that something terrible must have happened. After Arsène came in, he unceremoniously took a bottle of wine. No matter how much it cost, he wanted to taste it. He had been here many times before, but he only had the chance to enter the house once. That time, he saw so much wine on the wine cabinet. Arsène didn't have much ambition. He had a dream before, which was to drink a bottle of wine on the wine cabinet and taste it. Lamour's forceful entry shocked the maid and the two hostesses in the room. Lamour let the two women out and hugged them on both sides. He pointed to the sea in front of them and told them seriously, "Now, he has been thrown into the sea to feed the sharks. And you, from now on, are my people." The two women were terrified. "If you're ready, prepare some tea and fruits for me to entertain the guests. If you're not ready, I'll also throw you into the sea to feed the sharks." Lamour's words made the two women completely understand the situation. These things were originally done by the maids, but Lamour didn't let the maids do it. The trembling maid didn't know what to do. Just as she was panicking, Lamour said to the maid, "Wipe the guests' shoes and mine clean. I want them spotless." Now that the maid had something to do, she didn't feel so nervous anymore. Sometimes, people were like this. They always needed something to vent the fear in their hearts. What this woman needed now was to do something for her master. Once she did it well, her fear would naturally disappear. The woman had prepared fruits and wine, as well as tea and nuts. Lamor fiercely slapped the woman's butt. "Go, take out all the money in his safe." There was a lot of money in the safe in the study. Lamor had seen it with his own eyes. "We don't know the password." The woman quickly shook her head. "We really don't know. It seems that he doesn't treat you well at all. I'll be the owner here in the future. You must know the password of the safe here." Lamor sneered. "If you can't take out the things inside, then take the safe out for me." With that, Lamor glared and said to the maid, "You go and help too. Take the safe out for me." Although the safe wasn't big, it was a very heavy thing. The three people took a lot of effort to carry it out of the study and put it in front of Lamor. Arsène put down the wine glass in his hand and walked forward excitedly. He took out a crochet hook known as the master key from his pocket. Under Lamor's signal, he went up and fiddled with it. After fiddling with it for a while, the safe didn't show any signs of being opened. There was no movement at all. 10 minutes passed. Arsène was sweating profusely and Lamor's face became more and more ugly. "This is a safe made by Hua Xia. Ordinary people don't have the ability to open it at all." Su Yun smiled slightly. "It seems that your level is still not up to par." Facing Su Yun's ridicule, Arsène's face changed. "If you have the ability, then open one for me and see." "What are you talking about here?" Su Yun didn't need to speak. Xia Qiuyu sneered. He couldn't even open this kind of trash safe. He was simply a piece of trash. Su Yun shook his head. "I like violence. Things like opening locks are done by women in Hua Xia." When Su Yun said this, Xia Qiuyu rolled her eyes and glared at him. This guy was really annoying. "Women." Arsène and Lamor's eyes fell on Xia Qiuyu. Su Yun nodded. "Look at how hard it is for them. Do them a favor and help them. After all, we're going to be partners in the future. It's just a small matter." Arsène was unhappy. He threw his master key on the table and stared at Xia Qiuyu in disbelief. It was as if he was saying, "If you have the ability, then open it." Xia Qiuyu didn't even look at the so-called *T master key. She didn't say much either. Today, the safe had to be opened. Even if she didn't open it, Su Yun and Lamor would use violence to solve it. Xia Qiuyu flipped her wrist and took out a slender soft needle. What was this thing? Su Yun had never seen it before, let alone Lamor and the others. Xia Qiuyu put the soft needle into the lock of the safe and then gently turned the password. Click, click, click. After the password of the safe turned 3 times, the door of the safe opened with a click. Su Yun smiled. This was the daughter of the thief god, Shadowless. If she couldn't do anything about a small safe, wouldn't she be laughed at? Arsène's eyes were about to pop out. He couldn't believe what he saw. How could a woman solve the safe with a long, soft needle? When Arsène wanted to know the tool in Xia Qiuyu's hand, Xia Qiuyu flipped her wrist and the soft needle was nowhere to be found. Lamor said in admiration, "You really can't judge a book by its cover. Friends, you must be experts. I've never seen people with such great skills like you. This is a small matter. Let's work together in the future. If there's any trouble, we'll help each other." Su Yun smiled. Lamor opened the safe and saw that it was green inside. It was all US dollar bills. All of them. US dollar bills. In an instant, Lamor felt as if he had fallen into the gentle land of money. What did this mean to him? It was something he didn't dare to think about in his life. "Congratulations." Su Yun smiled. "All of these belong to you now." Lamor sneered. "I want more, much more. This is just the beginning. I still want to earn your money." "Of course. I believe that not only can you earn my money, you can also earn other people's money," Su Yun said calmly. Lamor suddenly looked up at Su Yun. "Since this is the first time we're working together, I won't pretend to be generous. Tomorrow, the 100,000 pesos you promised each person will be on me. This is also a little appetizer for my brothers." These words were quite righteous. Su Yun naturally accepted. "Okay, then I won't refuse. As long as things are done well, the $1 million I promised will not be less." Lamor nodded. "If you have any other business in the Philippines in the future, I hope you can still work with us." "No problem." Su Yun nodded. "This is a small matter, not worth mentioning." Just like that, the business was happily settled. P.S. Because I started writing the drama, Shredding the Onion Man in April, I haven't had a break in a long time. I'm sorry about the updates. Thank you for your tolerance and understanding. Today, I'm posting 2 more chapters to express my apology. Shredding the Onion Man is almost halfway done. I'm so tired. Jumping between the 2 books, I really understand what it means to be mentally and physically exhausted. I really won't dare to do this in the future. Today, posting 2 more chapters can't make up for what I owe. I can only ask for everyone's understanding. Thank you. Chapter 31:11. Lamor strongly requested Su Yun and Xia Choyu to stay that night. This seaside villa was definitely not something ordinary people could afford to live in. Even among the rich in the Philippines, not many could enjoy such a standard of living. It was not unreasonable for the knockoff boxing champion to be betrayed by his brothers. This was no longer at the level where he ate bones while his brothers drank soup. He had already eaten blood swallow's nest and winged enia, while his brothers were still drinking bone soup. They did not even have a taste of meat. Anyone who did not have the heart to resist was really mentally ill. Of course, Su Yun did not stay. He was not at ease with Xia Choyu taking the risk with him. Although living in this place was a pleasure, who knew if someone would come to seek revenge in the middle of the night? Su Yun was not interested in playing around. Vengeful people were capable of anything. The Philippines was a god-forsaken place, and their weapons were rampant. If someone really managed to get their hands on a portable recoilless cannon, it was not impossible for them to blow up the entire mansion. Anything could happen in this day and age. Lamor was also quite righteous. He had to party all night with 2 women, and it was obviously not suitable for Asan to stay. Lamor threw a stack of US dollars to Asan. This was a huge sum of money for Asan. When Lamor betrayed him today, Asan was the first to draw his gun, so he would definitely not treat Asan badly. Asan was his confidant, the person he could trust the most. It could be said that when Lamor became the boss, Asan would be the second boss in the future. No one could order him around anymore. Send them to their hotel. This money will be your expenses for the night. Go to the best nightclub and find the prettiest girl. If 1 is not enough, find 3. If 3 is not enough, find 10. Lamor said to Asan. This sum of money was enough for him to find countless girls. In the Philippines, $100 was enough to find a very, very good girl to sleep with for a night. The stack of money Lamor gave Asan was $10,000. $10,000. Close to 500,000 pesos. Asan's fingers trembled when he received the money. Remember, this is just for your entertainment tonight. Lamor definitely treated Asan well. There was at most $700,000 to $800,000 in the safe. When he threw $10,000 to Asan, he didn't even blink. He didn't seem to feel any heartache at all. Asan nodded desperately. If you can't spend it all, find a few of your good friends. My task for you tonight is to spend all the money. Don't leave a single cent behind. Lamor said, I said that it's not realistic for all my brothers to drive a BMW and live in a villa with me, but I will definitely let you, Asan, get all of this. Lamor wouldn't be stingy with the one person he trusted the most. The people he trusted the most could help him when he was in danger, but they could also stab him in the back when he was at his proudest. No one knew this simple truth better than him. Lamor believed that as long as he treated Asan well enough, Asan would never have a reason to stab him in the back. This way, his rule would last longer, and his era would last forever. He would never let the same tragedy happen to him. With the previous example, Lamour would trust Asan more and take care of him more. He couldn't say that he would give half of his world to Asan, but he would at least give 20% to Asan to ensure Asan's loyalty. Take his boss for example. If he could give him 20% of what he had, he would definitely not betray him. No matter how much benefits others gave him, he would never betray him. After all, people were loyal people. As long as it wasn't too much, no one would want their loyalty to become a joke. Although Asan drank a glass of wine, he still drove steadily. After safely sending Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu to their destination, Asan called Lamour to inform him that everything was fine. Then, he went to invite his friends and went straight to the most expensive high-end club in the area. High-end clubs were naturally high-end. The Philippines and Xia were the same. If you wanted to play high-end, you had to go to such high-end clubs. Only there could you contact the prettiest girls. Even third-rate stars could be found as long as there was enough money. Of course, Asan's $10,000 wasn't enough for him to invite a few of his friends to play with small stars. However, he could easily find the prettiest girls. As long as he took out $1,000 and slapped it on the table, beautiful girls would jump into his arms. What did it mean to spend $10,000 a night? Asan could only use one word to describe his drunken stupor. Intoxicated by purple and gold. Awesome. After Su Yun and Xia Qiuyu returned to the hotel, Xia Qiuyu was very worried. She couldn't trust these hooligans because there was no one more unreliable than them in the world. Su Yun, are you really going to leave your fate to these hooligans? Xia Qiuyu's face was filled with disbelief when she saw Su Yun start to organize the photos of the Sacred Flame mercenary group members. Su Yun nodded. Of course. They are the best helpers. They can do anything for money. It's $1 million. You really have money to burn. Xia Qiuyu said. I don't believe that your army can pay so much money for you. Are you going to pay for it yourself? Su Yun was amused. You really know how to care about money. Of course, I'm not that stupid. It's $1 million. How many Xia dropouts can I help return to the classroom? Then you. Xia Qiuyu was confused. You really don't know the ropes. This kind of thing has to be paid after the deed is done. I can't give them the money at the beginning, Su Yun said. They have to give me accurate information before they ask me for the money. Xia Qiuyu didn't understand. They will ask you for the money sooner or later. Please don't be so naive. There's no such thing as honesty with hooligans. I already have the information that I took care of the Sacred Flame mercenary group and took back the beast head. Why should I be so polite to a few hooligans from the Philippines? Su Yun said. If I'm in a bad mood, I'll just take care of them. Xia Qiuyu suddenly understood. You're just using them. You're not. I'm not giving them any benefits. Su Yun said, they're very happy now. They're playing with beautiful women and spending US dollars. If I don't give them this opportunity, they won't have it. Xia Qiuyu was speechless. Su Yun was like this sometimes. He didn't play by the rules at all. You were planning to play with them from the beginning? Xia Qiuyu asked. Su Yun nodded. Of course. Do you think I have any good feelings for murderers? Lamour had killed his own boss right in front of them. Needless to say, everyone knew how ruthless and black-hearted this kind of person was. If such a person became the boss, the social security of this place would definitely be worse. No matter what kind of country it was, the people were innocent. Once there was any negative impact, the first to suffer would always be the people. Su Yun didn't like the Philippines, but most of the people there were still kind. Those corrupt bastards in the Philippines would definitely not be affected. Su Yun wasn't a philanthropist, but he wasn't a destroyer either. He also hoped that the Philippines could develop healthily and stably. At least this would be good for the Chinese in the Philippines. The world wasn't as big as it used to be. The term, global village, had been around for many years. It only took about 20 hours to fly from Yenjing to Buenos Aires, Argentina. Everyone hoped for world peace. World peace was the best embodiment of human civilization. Chapter 31:12. Other than the local ruffians, if we want to be like fish in water in the Philippines, we need support from another side. Su Yun suddenly smiled and looked at the time on his watch. It was already past 10 o'clock at night. He believed that many fun things had just begun. Xia Qiuyu looked at Su Yun blankly. You mean, we have to get in touch with the bigwigs in the Philippines? Of course. Su Yun, if we don't have the help of those in power, we won't be able to get the green light all the way. It won't be easy for us to solve the problem. Xia Qiuyu looked troubled. But it won't be easy to get in touch with the bigwigs, right? Nothing is impossible in this world if you set your mind to it. Su Yun said lightly. However, we can't use any tricks when dealing with the local bigwigs. If we don't put in some effort, I'm afraid it'll be difficult to deal with them. Xia Qiuyu looked at Su Yun, puzzled. Where are you going to find them? It's already night time. Su Yun shrugged. It's the easiest time to find them at night. I can't just go to their office during the day. They won't receive me if I do. Xia Qiuyu, of course, knew that this would not work. But how could they do anything at night? Have you noticed the gambling culture in the Philippines? Su Yun smiled and asked Xia Qiuyu. Under Su Yun's reminder, Xia Qiuyu had a very deep impression of it. She could see a lot of it on the streets. The gambling culture in the Philippines could be said to have permeated all aspects. Almost anything with a little competition would be linked to gambling. Here, from children to the elderly, everyone would participate. It was a common occurrence. Moreover, there were all kinds of gambling in the Philippines, legal and illegal. Although the authorities were trying to regulate casinos, it was impossible to ban them. In the Philippines, gambling was a kind of national entertainment. Every day, everyone would be a part of it. Slot machines, horse racing, cockfighting, basketball, and even gambling on spiders. There were definitely all kinds of games that came out one after another. After Xia Qiuyu arrived in the Philippines, she saw many people gambling on the streets. To the people of the Philippines, gambling was akin to the old men playing chess in Huasia's park and the aunties dancing in the square. Not only were they everywhere, but they were also not taboo at all. The casinos here are all legal. There's nothing worth paying attention to. Xia Qiuyu said, Don't tell me you're going to the casinos to look for the powerful people in the Philippines. Of course. Su Yun nodded. Do you think the casino is a place where the poor can turn over a new leaf? Xia Qiuyu was stunned for a moment before shaking his head. Of course, she didn't believe that a casino was a place where one could get rich. To her, a casino was a devil's hole that could make people lose themselves completely after falling into it. No matter how rich you were, as long as you fell into the casino, a lot of money would be taken away bit by bit. The whole process wouldn't be too long, and you wouldn't feel anything. It would only make people suddenly realize that they were done for and that their money was gone. Since you know that casinos are profitable, what do you think is the purpose of legalizing casinos in the Philippines? It's nothing more than for the powerful to gain more benefits. Su Yun. So, every casino here has an inextricable relationship with the powerful. Only then did Xia Qiuyu come to a realization. Su Yun's words were indeed true. If casinos couldn't gain benefits for the powerful, how could they be legalized? It could even be said that the largest and most luxurious casino was owned by a large number of people in power, or even opened by the people in power. Then you can't go to the casino to find them. They can't possibly sit in the casino and watch over the place. Xia Qiuyu was speechless. You're too naive and simple. Of course I'm not that naive. Su Yun didn't know whether to laugh or cry. If you were the powerful person, when would you appear in the casino? I might only appear when there are special events, Xia Qiuyu said. Su Yun nodded in agreement. Then, if someone wins all your money in the casino in one night, would it be a special event? Xia Qiuyu nodded. Yes, of course. She paused for a moment. You're not saying that you want to win money in the casino, right? Soo-yun. Don't be so naive, this kind of thing is not realistic at all. Often, things that you think are unrealistic are the most realistic. Soo-yun smiled. No one can win against the banker in gambling. Xiaoqiu shook her head and said to Soo-yun with certainty. Soo-yun saw how serious she was and couldn't help but tease her. Have you read a book called How to Win Against the Banker? I wrote that book. There's such a book. Xiaoqiu was surprised. Of course not. Soo-yun shook his head helplessly. But it's not that I can't win against the banker. I just need to use a little trick. I don't know how to play anything too complicated, just something like dice. It's enough to give them a headache. Xiaoqiu didn't have any confidence in Soo-yun. However, if Soo-yun wanted to force the local authorities to show up, this might be the only way. Xiaoqiu knew that Daibao was actually a gambling method that used dice to gamble on the big or small. Dice allowed the players to place their bets with the banker. Every time before placing a bet, the banker would shake the 3 dice in a covered container. When the players finished placing their bets, the banker would open the container and reveal the colors. Because the most common bet was to bet on the number of the dice, a total of 4 to 10 was called small, and 11 to 17 was called big. That was why it was often called big or small. This kind of simple gambling method could be found all over the world. Dice was a very simple game, but for the banker, it was a gambling game that always had an advantage. The players couldn't use their skills to improve their chances of winning, but in the long run, the banker would win. Among all kinds of bets, big and small were the most beneficial to the players, but the banker still had the advantage. Don't worry, I'll solve the problem, Soo-yun said calmly. Just stay in the hotel and wait for my good news. Why can't I go with you? Xiaoqiu asked. Soo-yun shook his head. I need to spend money to find a woman to go with me. You can't go with me. Spend money? Find a woman? Xiaoqiu's expression was even more confused. Soo-yun nodded helplessly. People in power all have a common trait, and that is they like to mess around. Look at those corrupt people in Huaxia. Is there a single person who has a normal relationship? Humans are animals after all. When power is greater than everything, when power allows them to do whatever they want, their beastly nature can't be hidden. Xiaoqiu seemed to have understood Soo-yun's intentions. I'll spend money to find a woman to go with me. If they really like her, I'll just let her stay. That way, she can get to know the rich and powerful, Soo-yun said. But if you go with me and they like you, what should I do? What do you want to do? Xiaoqiu glared at Soo-yun. Of course I can't just let you stay. I have to take you with me, so I'll definitely offend those rich and powerful people. Our cooperation might be affected. If I find a woman to go with me, there won't be any trouble. This was something that Soo-yun had considered thoroughly. Xiaoqiu had never thought about this problem. After all, only men understood men the best. Once a person was associated with corruption, their worldview would be distorted in all aspects. The disgusting side of human nature would be exposed. They would do anything dirty. This was something that didn't need to be explained. Then you have to be careful when you're alone. Xiaoqiu looked at Soo-yun worriedly. She knew that she didn't have a better solution, so she could only listen to Soo-yun and do as Soo-yun said. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.